scene, etc., and greater bonds are built?
I think we have certain shared values with all the countries in the Gulf. And Prime Minister's, one of the important aspects of Prime Minister diplomacy is the what he calls soft power, which is it's spreading power through persuasion rather than coercion. And you will see that wherever he has gone, he has tried to emphasize on soft power aspect, which is this yoga, which is like Bollywood, and connecting with the diaspora, because diaspora, they are the agents of our who will spread the software in other countries. Prime Minister's diplomacy has always has a cultural component as an important part of his diplomacy, and from that perspective, the way we connect to Kuwaitis, and as you rightly pointed out that 2023 India started this Namaste Kuwait program, but also before that there have been a number of activities where Indian festivals were being celebrated, so that people in Kuwait should know about India, so that we can attract more tourists. India is very well known in the Gulf countries and also in entire West Asia. Our Bollywood films are are very popular in large number of countries. Our actors are very well known in this region, and also because we have certain shared values. The kind of the way issues are projected in, say, for instance, Hollywood movies, and the way we project. So some kind of people like the subtleties, people like some kind of values that we project through our system. So that is liked by a large number of countries. And again, yoga is another aspect, as you rightly pointed out. The culinary aspect, that chicken tandoori is a kind of thing that is popular all over the world. So these are the aspects which we are promoting, and we are doing pretty well. And Prime Minister has done amazing as far as the soft power is concerned. And Prime Minister has also done remarkably well in West Asian diplomacy. So I have lots of hope about the very strong partnership in the future between the two countries.
Ambassador, when you were serving there, did you see the flourish of Indian soft power, Indian movies, Indian culture, Indian cuisines, what have you?
Yes, certainly. Because of the sheer size of the community, Indian movies were very popular there. And the Kuwaitis would also flock to see them, because many Kuwaitis could understand our language. There was a close connect between the older generation in particular. Then the younger set started going to the United States to study. Their connections with the West became stronger, and they were not so closely in touch with India, though they traveled here, but it's not like the older generation which could speak. I understand from my friends in Kuwait that one of the older emirs, Sheikh Abdullah Salam Sabah, used to visit Bombay very frequently and be seen on the beaches, relaxing on the beaches. So there was that sort of connect, and naturally that showed also in various aspects of cultural activity. There were hundreds of Indian cultural organizations in my time in Kuwait, and surely they have now become thousands of such organizations. So they would host cultural events in different places, including in the auditorium of the Indian Embassy, and invite Kuwaiti nationals to these events. And so there was a lot of interaction which took place, which familiarized Kuwaitis with Indian culture. Of course, Indian movies were very popular. And Professor was referring to Indian cuisine. There were lots of Indian restaurants in Kuwait. Surely, many of them were also very popular with the Kuwaitis, who liked Indian cuisine too. And in fact, Prime Minister, in his address to the Indian community yesterday, said that aapne yahan par India ka tadka laga diya, which means you have brought the flavor of India to Kuwait. And that is indeed very true. And when it comes to the cultural sphere, that aspect cannot be ignored. Indian culture is very evident in various sectors of Kuwait. The movie halls very frequently show Indian movies, and of course Indian movie stars have been visiting Kuwait. Some of them even visited in my time, and very prominent Indian artists have performed in Kuwait. The community always welcomes them. And I think that sort of interaction is poised to grow even further on account of Prime Minister's visit.
Right, now we are standing by for visuals of ceremonial guard of honor for Prime Minister Narendra Modi in Kuwait. To bring you up to speed with what's really happening there in Kuwait, Prime Minister Narendra Modi is visiting Kuwait on a 2-day visit over the weekend, and there he is now in a bit set to meet the leadership of Kuwait. That includes the Amir of Kuwait and the Crown Prince and later the Prime Minister. A ceremonial guard of honor being accorded to Prime Minister Narendra Modi as we speak at the Bayan Palace.
Bayan.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi was earlier accorded a ceremonial guard of honor outside the Bayan Palace, which is the Kuwait Amir's official residence. The Prime Minister holding an informal interaction with the Kuwaiti leadership. Now, the Prime Minister is expected to have a one-on-one meeting with the Amir of Kuwait, followed by another meeting with the Crown Prince and yet another with the Prime Minister of Kuwait. And that meeting between the Amir of Kuwait and Prime Minister Narendra Modi is taking place. So we are getting visuals from that interaction as well. It is day 2 of Prime Minister's visit to Kuwait. The first day saw the Prime Minister meeting a number of Indian workers, and a light-hearted, heartwarming interaction that the Prime Minister had with Indian workers. In what we saw was a free flow of ideas and views, and now the focus is shifting to hard diplomacy in the India-Kuwait bilateral partnership. An extremely significant visit, and this visit assumes great significance because it is the first visit by an Indian Prime Minister to Kuwait in 43 years. The timing is significant because Kuwait is currently the chair of the Gulf Cooperation Council. So in terms of regional coordination and cooperation, at a time when India would increasingly need more crude oil, LPG, etc. for its energy security, and would want to diversify into other areas of trade between Gulf countries such as Kuwait. This visit is taking place. Also, this visit is taking place at a time when there are tensions that are continuing in West Asia, and Prime Minister Narendra Modi has been a harbinger of peace. He's been advocating peace in the region. He's been saying that this is not the era of war and solutions cannot be found in the battlefield. Our correspondent Akshay Dongre continues to be with us. Akshay, can you tell us what is happening there currently, and when can we expect the MOUs to be signed and exchanged between the two sides?
Well, Munmun, the MOUs will be signed at the end of the bilateral engagements between the two leaderships. In fact, after the Guard of Honor, the Prime Minister is going to have a bilateral discussion with the Emir of Kuwait. After that, there will be a bilateral engagement between the Prime Minister and the Crown Prince of Kuwait. And the third and the last engagement for today is going to be between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Prime Minister of Kuwait. And after that, they will be signing up of the MOUs, about signing up of the agreements. Both the sides, even before and during the visit, have been trying to finalize the agreements and the MOUs that are going to be signed. So the stage is all set for this new chapter new chapter to begin between India and Kuwait, between the relations in these two countries, and we can expect a lot more to happen as far as the discussions are concerned. So after the agreements, agreements are reached between the two sides, we can expect both the sides to be signing the memorandums of understanding in various fields, from defense to education, from pharmaceutical industry to IT. And as far as the priority for the Prime Minister is concerned, there's going to be, agreements as far as the welfare of the Indian diaspora is concerned here in Kuwait. Because even the Foreign Ministry has acknowledged in the past that there have been instances where the Indian expatriates on certain occasions have been treated by the middlemen that are there between the two countries, and Prime Minister's focus is also going to remove these middlemen and these fraud companies that tend to hire Indians as far as lucrative job opportunities are concerned in Kuwait, and then there have been instances where their passports have been taken and they have been kept in the country without their wish. So even the Kuwaiti side, after the intervention by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, is going to be focusing on ensuring that the large expatriate community of over 1 million people remains comfortable in the country, and when they work here and whenever they want to go back to India, they are provided all the help that is required from the Kuwaiti side as well. So all of these issues will be taken up as far as the bilateral engagements are concerned. Besides these areas of mutual interest, both the sides will also be talking about the evolving geopolitical situations that concern both the countries in their respective regions. So we can expect more engagement and more cooperation between the two countries as far as each other's security issues are concerned as well, be it India's national security or Kuwait's security in the region. And one of the areas where both of these countries can advance as far as security arena. There can be understandings on defense equipment, as well as exchanges of technological know-how used by the armed forces of both the countries. Back to you, Munman.
Yes, Akshay, please do stay with us. I'll come to you, Professor, now. What I found also quite interesting is how the Prime Minister was present as the guest of honor yesterday at the opening ceremony of the 26th Arabian Gulf Cup in Kuwait. So, in a sense, this is not the first meeting that the Prime Minister is having with the Kuwaiti leadership. Only yesterday we saw an informal interaction that the Prime Minister may have had with them. How do you see this choice of inviting Prime Minister as the guest of honor of the Kuwaiti side on such a sports tournament? There's so much love for football, I understand, there in Kuwait. And do you think that both sides would have had an informal interaction which would help in today's deliberations? Professor?
Yeah. Yeah, I think, that's very symbolic, because as you know that, Prime Minister has been given awards and he has been invited for important events in all the countries of the Gulf earlier, UAE, Saudi Arabia, etc. So from that perspective, this again, it was symbolic. It was a messaging that kind of importance that, this Kuwait gives to the Prime Minister of India. So I would see it rather from that perspective, where it's a kind of a very positive messaging being sent at a very personal level to the Prime Minister. Yes, it's a sporting country, and Kuwait wins a lot of sporting awards, and even in Olympics. Prime Minister's invitation was a kind of very nice, I'll say, diplomatic gesture, and which is very well received by the Indian diplomacy, and and also because Prime Minister believes in connecting not only with the people from our diaspora, Indian diaspora, but also from connecting, if given the opportunity, he would also like to connect with the local population there, and there cannot be an event better than connecting through the sports, where that event is so popular in Kuwait. So that's a way to connect, and that's a kind of diplomatic gesture, very well received from both the sides here.
Interesting, and I'm also reminded, Ambassador, of how both countries stood by each other during the COVID-19 pandemic. I mean, when India got liquid oxygen in huge amounts from Kuwait when India needed it the most, and Kuwait was one of those countries to which India had supplied the COVID-19 vaccines. So, is this something which creates a lot of goodwill, not just between the leadership of both the countries, but also between people?
Yes, of course, there is an old saying, a friend in need is a friend indeed. And when Kuwait and India stood by each other during the COVID crisis, they exemplified what this old saying stood for. Now, there have been other occasions when Kuwait and India have helped each other in times of need. We need not go into details, but certainly there is a warmth in the relationship, and this will increase on account of the views which both sides have towards each other in terms of the bilateral relationship. Both consider each other important partners, and of course there is a lot that Kuwait can do towards strengthening India's abilities to attract investments. We are doing our level best to make foreign investors feel secure, and I think the Kuwaitis are taking note of that. And at the same time, the Kuwaitis are also seized of the tremendous capabilities of Indian companies in regard to handling infrastructure development. So there is a lot that will be done in terms of strengthening the sort of understanding to which you referred and which was exemplified during the COVID crisis, when we assisted Kuwait with COVID-related vaccines and medicines, and they in turn supplied us with liquefied oxygen. I think that since we are friends, the relationship will proceed in the right direction.
Professor, coming to you, we were earlier discussing educational cooperation between the two countries. Now, for that to increase, we need greater civil aviation cooperation. Now, there are, I understand, 12,000 seats for carriers of each side that are already in place in terms of weekly seat capacity arrangement. But Kuwait would like to see more air traffic from India. So, when I was at Brunei Darussalam some months back, I saw that there was no direct flight between India and that country, and it was expected that soon there would be an announcement, and the first flight did start on the 5th of November, the same day when the US presidential polls were held. So do you think that there could be an announcement on the civil aviation side? Would you think that that is also the need of the hour?
I think, I'm joking here that there should be bus service from India to Kuwait, because, the kind of exchanges that we have. And if you ever travel from Kuwait city to India, and if you are coming from that flight, it suddenly, it will feel as if, you have come to India, because, the kind of, the things that we see in India here. So suddenly the flights will change the character. The fare of the flight also changes, and there is a lot of demand for these kind of flights. Partly because a lot of people are traveling from different parts of India through Mumbai, through Delhi. So we need very high connectivity and very cheap connectivity, because as I said that from Indian side, because a lot of people, the blue collar workers, they are going and working there. So we need a very close connectivity. As far as the economic aspect is concerned, some kind of the agreement on joint manufacturing, etc., that is also possible. In fact, if you see India's export, one thing I found very striking, that number one item of export from India is the parts of aircraft. So that was very interesting. And then the second part was cereal, different kind of food item, etc., that we sent to Kuwait. So there is a scope for cooperation, also cooperate on the issue of the transport of people from one place to other, but also joint manufacturing of aircrafts, etc. And your reporter was rightly mentioning that how these two countries can cooperate so far as joint manufacturing is concerned in different parts, including defense, etc. So there is a possibility, and there's a lot of scope, and we should enhance our flights. We should have direct. Kuwait city always had a direct connectivity, but it used to work more like transit. That people, if you're going to United States, you're going to European countries. So many of the flights, cheaper flights, they will transit through Kuwait. So and now, yes, we certainly need much more flights to Kuwait.
Would you concur with this, that you need greater air connectivity, considering we make for the biggest expatriate community there in Kuwait?
Yes, certainly we can do with more connectivity in the air sector. But we have direct flights, a lot of direct flights between the two countries. But to take off from what the professor said about a bus service, I'm not too optimistic about that, because it will pass through very conflict-ridden areas. And it will also have to pass through Pakistan, where security is a huge concern. Terrorist attacks in Pakistan against the security setup have gone up more than 50%, according to a recent State Department report. But certainly, better ferry services, boat services between Kuwait and India could be encouraged, because the working class people would find it more affordable to travel by boat, and the journey is not going to take much time. Let us not forget that the old Kuwait-India relationship was based on boats. It is the boats which I said earlier were called dhows, which carried Kuwaiti traders and goods to India and brought back Indian goods for Kuwaitis. So there is that history of naval traffic, and certainly better ferry services would help the workers from India who are domiciled in Kuwait. But of course, better air services are always welcome, though what is being done by the two governments in this regard is something I don't know. Maybe this issue could figure in the bilateral discussions, and if there is a working group on communications, and connectivity, then this issue will perhaps figure during the talks there.
Interesting, and I also saw what you had mentioned, Professor Rajan, that the Prime Minister did speak of how the Indian growth story is attracting global manufacturers from semiconductors to aircraft to drones to e-vehicles to set up shop in India, perhaps indicating that this is something that both sides could now expect. Now, coming to the petrochemical sector, Professor, the Prime Minister spoke of how this is another promising venue for collaboration. He said that India's petrochemical industry is rapidly growing. He spoke of how it is set to become worth $300 billion by next year. And Kuwait's ambitious petrochemical vision under its Strategy 2040 can open doors to co-investment, technology exchange, and even mutual growth. So is this another area of collaboration that we are looking at?
Certainly, because one of the issues that we face with Kuwait is that we import, roughly about $8 billion trade that we have import in terms of import, and then we export only about $2 billion. So the kind of the gap. How do you fill the gap? So there are two ways you can do it. Either you export your enhance the scope of export to that country, or you ask that country to invest more in India. So these are the two possibilities, and this is exactly what we are doing with Russia also, because we have such huge trade deficit with Russia. So we are saying that we are saying two things to Russia, that you invest in India, the kind of surplus amount that you have accumulated, and also we ask Russia to we are actually trading with Russia in the local currency. So these are the two possibilities that can also be explored with. I think I'm sure that our diplomacy is already doing that. So both in terms of asking for more investment, and Kuwait, as I said, it has a sovereign wealth fund of roughly 1 trillion. It's a huge amount, and so we are looking for that kind of investment. And also we can encourage some kind of the way rupee was a legal tender till 1961. So we can again ask for trade in local currency. If it can happen with Russia, why not with a third country? And also the RuPay card, etc., that you promoted when probably in Brunei this thing was being discussed when you were there. So there is a possibility of this kind of transaction where trade transaction takes place in the local currency, so that we are not dependent on the third currency, which is again because of number of geopolitical issues becomes volatile at times. So these are the petrochemical is, again, as I said, there's a lot of scope, and we need a lot of energy in India in terms of import, but also in terms of refinery, etc. So Saudi Arabia has also promised that it will invest a lot of money in India in the petrochemical and other sectors, in infrastructure sector. So similarly, we can expect and encourage, persuade Kuwaiti leadership to invest in petrochemical sectors, and that would be a huge area of collaboration between the two countries.
Do you agree that petrochemical sector would be another area of collaboration going forward?
Certainly, it will be a very important area, because Kuwait is a very big producer of petroleum, and it is already the 6th largest exporter to India. It's very, very important in the context of our growing industrial needs, and so the cooperation that can be possible in the petrochemical area is very, very significant. Of course, we are also now emerging as a major exporter of products which come out of petroleum refining, and there too imports of crude oil from Kuwait could help us to boost our exports in this sector too. So I think that the cooperation in the petrochemical sector is going to be a very important agenda item during the talks between the two sides.
As Voice for the Global South, the Prime Minister did mention about how under India's G20 presidency that was a key focus, and how India has hosted 3 Voice of Global South summits, and Kuwait also is a developing country. So do you think that such initiatives and the undercurrents that this has also further amplifies the importance that India has for the world at large, and even from a regional perspective, and India's leadership is seen in a very positive light?
Well, there is no doubt about the fact that Prime Minister Modi is perceived as one of the most important global leaders today. And that is why he is welcomed with such warmth by other global leaders, whether it is President Biden or whether it was President Trump when he was in power, whether it's President Putin or President Macron or any other global leader. Look at the sort of relationship which Prime Minister Modi has fostered with the President of UAE, who's the ruler of Abu Dhabi, Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan. Sheikh Mohammed calls Prime Minister Modi his brother. And that sort of fraternal relationship has fostered a very, very great possibility of cooperation in all sectors. This sort of cooperation would not have been possible without the close relationship between the top leaders. So similarly, where Kuwait is concerned, I see that sort of warmth emerging. The pictorials which you are showing on your screen repeatedly emphasize the warmth which Prime Minister Modi is exuding towards the Kuwaiti leaders, and the reciprocity in this context, because the Kuwaitis are also exhibiting great warmth. So I think that this will naturally have a role to play in bringing the two countries closer together in terms of their thinking on global issues, how the two countries will work more closely together towards fostering South-South cooperation, how both the countries will be able to perceive the requirements of the global South and direct their energies towards achieving the goals in this context. So I think that this visit will be very consequential and will have long-term ramifications which will be to the benefit not just of India and Kuwait, but of the entire region also.
Professor, would you agree that there has been a dramatic transformation in ties between India and all the countries in the Gulf region in the past 1 decade, and Pakistan has long ceased to be a complicating factor in this relationship?
Absolutely, without any doubt. Indian diplomacy has done amazing in West Asia. Yes, there are things which are not under our control. For instance, the kind of conflict that we are witnessing in Syria or Palestine, we can't do much, unfortunately. But as far as diplomatic ties between the two countries are concerned, we have certainly consolidated. So as I said, there is a very personal aspect where Prime Minister at a personal level is connecting with the leaders. The second, we have strengthened and consolidated our bilateral ties with each country in the region. And third, we also have we have begun to play some kind of geopolitical role in the region, because when you have a strong ties, for instance, India has already had a strong ties with all the countries of the Gulf Council countries, and now this country was missing. So again, we are trying to have ties with each country, which will lead to better ties with the region. And as I said, this GCC region is extremely important for India from energy security, from economic security perspective. So India has certainly transformed its ties with most of the countries in West Asia. Yes, there are a few exceptions, but yes, and because Gulf countries and the West Asian countries, they also know that they need market. They need the countries which are buying energy from there, which can play the role of political stability. They are also in the process of diversifying, and Pakistan doesn't stand anywhere in terms of India's economy today. So the main reason why India has become important is the economy, let me tell you. And because of the economy and because of the geopolitical role that we are playing in different organizations and throughout the world. So because of that, India is taken very seriously, and they treat India not in comparison to Pakistan the way it was treated earlier during the Cold War and little later also. So now they take India as a country which can stabilize the region. India can play a very influential role economically, politically, and also in international organizations. And India is certainly one of the leaders of the global South. China is another leader. Sometimes Russia also claims to be a leader of global South. So India is taken very seriously in the Gulf region, and all the Gulf countries, they see India as an independent power, and they do not see through the prism of Pakistan. So that's a very interesting development. But we need to be much more active, even on the issues where the conflicts are going on. We need to play a proactive role on even on the issue of conflict in terms of bringing the parties together and creating some kind of positive diplomacy for ceasefire, etc.
If I may switch that question a little bit and come to you, Ambassador, why do Arab monarchies attach higher weight to India in the present times?
Certainly, nothing succeeds like success. And India is a country which is achieving remarkable success in a number of areas. The Indian economy has grown by leaps and bounds, and that is evident from the huge foreign exchange reserves which we have, and which stand out in contrast with the sort of bankruptcy which prevails in Pakistan. So there is no doubt that India's success speaks for itself. And if the Gulf countries feel that cooperation with India will be to their benefit, it is not without reason, because India brings not only credibility to the table, but India also brings capability. India has capabilities in a number of areas, and these capabilities could translate into meaningful bilateral cooperation. So I think that this fact is not lost on the Arab monarchies, and although Pakistan tries to proclaim that since it is an Islamic country, therefore it automatically enjoys proximity to the Gulf monarchies, well, this fact is being increasingly debunked, and these monarchies are trying to stay away from Pakistan because Pakistan is becoming notorious for going around with a begging bowl. There is a limit to the amount of largesse which can be doled out to Pakistan by the Gulf monarchies, and they are quite fed up of receiving Pakistani visitors who come with begging bowls. In fact, you would have seen reports recently that a cause of worry for many of the Gulf countries is the fact that many Pakistanis are going there and begging on the streets, and begging is not allowed in these countries. In fact, some Pakistanis have gone to Saudi Arabia for Umrah, and they have been found begging on the streets of Saudi Arabia. So this is something that the Gulf countries do not like, and they like meaningful cooperation. So in the context of India, they see a lot of possibilities for such meaningful cooperation, because India brings, as I said, credibility and capability to the table.
Yes, and earlier, Professor, India had, Kuwait in fact had given its in-principle concurrence to joining the International Solar Alliance, an idea mooted by India alongside France, and there are so many countries that are now part of it, not just those that were initially conceived to be, and those between the Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn. And the Prime Minister in his interview did speak about India's pro-planet initiative and how these India-led green initiatives are meant to address climate change, build disaster-resilient infrastructure, drive global transition and promote environmental sustainability. Again, besides the leadership of the Global South, is this one area which evokes respect for India from the global community as a whole?
I think on the issue of this energy switching, although all these countries, they support this issue. But I know their support, especially from the oil-producing countries, their support is much more rhetorical rather than substantive. They do say that climate change is an issue, but when it comes to either financing or switching to some greener technology, the initiatives are lacking and they cannot be completely trusted. In fact, there was a lot of the last meeting which was in UAE, the climate COP meeting. So there was also criticism that one of the countries which is supporting this kind of energy, the traditional conventional energy. So in that place, this kind of meeting was taking place. Then Azerbaijan recently, there was another meeting on this issue, and then again the same kind of criticism was laid, where it says that Azerbaijan is one of the major oil producing countries. So these countries, oil producing countries, especially OPEC countries, they have a different kind of issue. They do not easily want to switch to some other technology because they know that will impact their key sector of economy. 90% of the economy of Kuwait is dependent on energy sector, so it would not like to switch, immediately. But yes, it supports other initiatives, especially the Solar Alliance, which is where it was kind of supported very strongly by India. So, and Prime Minister Modi was one of the active proponents of that International Solar Alliance, and it got support from a large number of countries, including France, etc. So, yes, these countries will support these initiatives. But as far as switching to the alternative energy is concerned, the oil-producing countries have certain reservations, and they're not willing to switch immediately. Number one, in terms of other technology, and they're also not financing. And they sometimes try to create narratives which are not very conducive. So these are the issues that we need to tackle, and we have to be careful. But again, on the solar issue, there is no conflict, and there is no reason why we cannot collaborate with Kuwait.
Ambassador, I'd referred earlier to how both sides have agreed to establish a joint commission in the recent visit that the Foreign Minister of Kuwait paid to India this very month. And it's been decided that new working groups will be set up across areas of trade, investment, education, technology, agriculture, security, culture. And then there are existing joint working groups as well in areas like hydrocarbons, health and consular matters. So from this visit, do you expect that there will be a greater ease of working together between both the sides across a whole range of sectors?
Yes, certainly. There'll be greater ease and greater energy because, a joint commission is a mechanism for promoting bilateral cooperation. And the working groups which function as a part of the Joint Commission deal with specified areas. So these working groups involve specialists, and as a result, cooperation grows on account of the specialized inputs which are made available to the working groups. So what happens is that very concrete suggestions are possible when there are meetings of these working groups, and then the next step is to implement recommendations of working groups. And I think that the two countries are very seriously endeavoring to foster bilateral cooperation by setting up the Joint Commission and energizing working groups.
Do you agree, Professor, that from this visit onwards, there will be greater synergy, greater ease and more energy in this partnership?
Of course, without any doubt. I think, if you ask me what are the three priorities from India's perspective, you asked this question to Ambassador. My first priority would be securing India's energy from the neighborhood. That should be India's first priority because the kind of demand that we're going to create in the coming years, that would be phenomenal. And we need that from the nearby countries. So that is number one. And irrespective of the greener energy, etc., our dependence on the oil and gas that will remain for in the near future. So energy security is important. Economic security, because we trade, our trade is very high with this country, and also because a lot of trade passes through that region. So political stability and this economic stability in the region is extremely important for us. We send a large number of diaspora in all the countries, including Kuwait. So from that perspective, this is important, and we need to kind of stop the spread of radicalism that you see in Syria today, and also Palestine and other countries. So for these four reasons, I would consider this visit is extremely important, and this will certainly bring a new chapter in the relationship of India, not only with Kuwait but the Gulf countries. And now you'll have to allow me to go because I have to attend another meeting.
Right, we'll let you go. Professor, appreciate the time that you've given to us for your analysis on Prime Minister's ongoing visit to Kuwait. Ambassador, coming to you, there was a reference to security cooperation also during the course of our discussion, and very recently we've seen an attack in a Christmas market in Germany, and there the suspect who's been arrested is a Saudi Arabian national who was living there for almost a decade or more. So do you think that counterterrorism could figure in these discussions? Because even under SCO, there's so much focus on terrorism, and Kuwait, I understand, is a dialogue partner there, and there are concerns with regard to what is really happening vis-a-vis terrorism and the West Asian region. And again, Kuwait is the chair of the GCC. So do you think that counterterrorism cooperation could also figure in the talks?
You know, security is very important for any country. And in the context of Kuwait's polity, we cannot overlook the very basic fact that the population is very small. It is about 4.9 million, and out of these, about 3+ million people are foreigners. So a small population makes Kuwait vulnerable in terms of external security, and that is why Saddam Hussein's forces were able to occupy Kuwait with such ease. Now, Kuwait is rich, it has abundant oil reserves, so it makes Kuwait vulnerable because many hostile entities in the region may try to take advantage of the small population of Kuwait to once again try and occupy. So Kuwait is very wary of external threats, and naturally it's trying to boost its ability to counter these threats. Then you come to internal security. You know, there are rogue elements within any society. There are certain extremist elements within Kuwait itself. And just as you mentioned that there was a Saudi national who had been living in Germany who was responsible for carrying out the terrorist attacks there, there have been many other cases of rogue elements who have carried out terrorist acts in the Middle East. And Kuwait is wary of any such activities. So the steps which can be taken in terms of countering terrorism are very important. There are rogue extremist Islamist elements which are very evidently present in the West Asian region, and these pose a threat to the small Gulf monarchies. So there is a lot of concern about what needs to be done to prevent any untoward instance. And I think the Kuwaitis are keen to enhance their internal security, and if there is anything that India can do to help them in this regard, I'm sure that we will do so, because we are facing terrorist threats all the time, and we are enhancing our capability to counter such threats. So there is no doubt that internal security is a challenge for any country. It is a challenge also for the Kuwaiti monarchy, and I'm sure that there could be some discussions in this regard, and if so, India will be more than willing to do whatever possible to help Kuwait in this regard.
When you were serving there, Ambassador, what were the issues that you thought needed to be urgently addressed? What was the vision that you had as the ambassador of India to Kuwait for the local population and for India interests in the region, and how much of that has been achieved, how much of that is yet to be achieved?
You know, when I was there, some of the mechanisms that are required for protecting your workforce were not present. The Kuwaitis needed to put those in place. For instance, there are lots of Indian housemaids in Kuwait, and the mechanisms for affording protection to them were not up to the mark, and there were many cases which came to our notice of Kuwaiti domestic servants being harassed and being troubled.
You mean
and
Indian domestic servants
Indian
in
domestic
Kuwait?
servants.
Yeah.
And in fact, many of them would flee their employers and come and seek refuge in the embassy. And we had a shelter where we were accommodating 300 plus housemates. So this showed the sort of problems that existed. But through dialogue, through discussions, the Kuwaitis have perceived the nature of this problem as something that needs to be addressed, and they have put in place some mechanisms which are affording the requisite protection to domestic workers also. I saw this happening in Dubai also. In Dubai, the government became very strict about enforcing the welfare of domestic servants, and this was a very positive step, and I understand that the other Gulf countries are doing the same. So there has been progress in that regard.
An MOU
Similarly,
has been signed, and I think there was a decree also that was issued by the Kuwait side to implement that MOU.
yes, indeed. But it was important to sensitize them to our needs and to also try and discuss with them the possible measures that could be taken. Also, the overall question of the welfare of the community. When you have such a large community, it is very important to address their needs and to make sure that living and working conditions for them are up to the mark, and that if there are any lacuna, then these need to be addressed. So at my time, which was 23 years back, I left Kuwait in December 2001. There was a lot that needed to be done, but because of the willingness of the Kuwaitis to listen to our concerns and their willingness to address our concerns, there has been substantial progress in all these areas.
Let's get now some information from ground, because there's Akshay Dongre who is covering the visit of Prime Minister Narendra Modi to Kuwait. Akshay, take us through the action that is unfolding as we speak.
Well, the bilateral engagements are taking place, Munmun, and this was perhaps the most important part of the visit of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. After 40 years, the visit is taking place, and for the first time ever, Prime Minister Narendra Modi is having a one-on-one engagement with the top leadership of Kuwait inside Kuwait during a bilateral visit. Other visits there have been events where the Emir of Kuwait has met Prime Minister, but this is for the first time that a dedicated bilateral engagement is taking place, and a lot of expectations are there on both the sides as far as this visit by Prime Minister Narendra Modi is concerned. So we can expect the memorandums of understanding being signed in a short while from now, after the 3 bilateral engagements that have been slated to take place. They end. In fact, after the Emir of Kuwait, Prime Minister is going to have a bilateral with the Crown Prince and the Prime Minister as well. So all aspects of the government will be covered as far as Prime Minister's engagements are concerned. Now, it remains to be seen that what are the areas of engagement where understandings will be finalized between the two sides, whether there will be some defense pacts signed between the two countries, any kind of engagements when it comes to the troops are concerned in form of bilateral exercises or multilateral exercises, especially the maritime naval exercises that are expected to begin between the two countries. So with Kuwait, inching closer as far as the engagement is concerned in the defense sector, we can expect both the sides to, in fact, ramp their security infrastructure in close coordination with each other. Now, besides the defense area, as the ambassador was also talking about, there are a lot of issues that have been sticking points as far as the relations are concerned, and this visit will also focus on ironing out these issues that the Indian diaspora has been facing. The situation has improved significantly the last 10 years. A lot more needs to be done. There is a lot of potential as far as trade is concerned, as far as investments are concerned, with the Kuwaiti corporates being very optimistic and bullish as far as the Indian markets are there. The Indian growth story is concerned.
Right.
Kuwait has a lot of faith as far as
Yes, Akshay.
the Indian government and the stability that Modi government has provided as far as India and the investment opportunities are concerned. Back to you.
We leave it at that. Akshay, a long day ahead for you. We are standing by for Prime Minister Narendra Modi's meeting with the Kuwaiti leadership to conclude and the signing and exchange of MOUs by both the sides. Well, we leave it at that. Akshay, thanks so much for joining us, and Ambassador Prabhu Dayal, thank you so much for your perspective on India-Kuwait ties and for telling us how your experience was serving as ambassador there 23 years back. So that's it then in this special broadcast. PM Modi in Kuwait. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is in Kuwait after 43 long years, but this visit is expected to ink a new chapter in India-Kuwait bilateral partnership, and also it could mean a lot in terms of regional diplomacy. That's it from me. News and updates will continue on DD India. Siddharth Bharadwaj, my colleague, will take this further. Thanks for watching.
मान लो आपके बॉस का मैसेज आए कि इमरजेंसी है, अभी का अभी गिफ्ट कार्ड और वाउचर खरीद के पर्सनल मेल पर भेजो, क्या करोगे? भेज दोगे? बॉस, ये बॉस नहीं, बॉस की तस्वीर लगा के फ्रॉडगिरी करने वाले हैं। मैं बॉस का फेवरेट बनना चाहता हूँ, पर मूर्ख नहीं हूँ। याद रहे, यूपीआई सेफ है, पर कोई आपको बेवकूफ बनाना चाहे तो कहो मैं मूर्ख नहीं हूँ।
Pollution of all types across the globe is a huge problem. But what is the solution to this? Does it require individual efforts, community action, or state interference? Let's take a look at some of the possibilities, challenges, and opportunities.
They have to segregate their waste, manage their organic waste within their premises as far as possible. They have to hand over the rest of the waste, the residual waste, to the authorized waste collector.
When the local administration saw what I had done, it decided to build the drainage system you see here, connecting the whole area to it.
Trees are our lifesavers. They give us oxygen, and it's unfair to harm them by hammering iron nails into them just for the sake of ads.
Welcome to Lakshadweep, the land of 100,000 islands, the aquatic wonderland of India, an archipelago of spectacular marine gems, colorful coral and crystal clear lagoons, a kaleidoscope of turquoise blue. Each island of Lakshadweep draws in explorers with its unique beauty. Witness idyllic sunsets and pristine beaches of Kavarati, the majestic lighthouse and colorful boat races at Minikoi. Experience water sports in the shallow lagoons of Kadmat. Unwind in the serene setting of Bangaram. Lakshadweep offers a precious heritage of ecology and culture, with rhythmic beats of folk dances echoing through these islands, delighting visitors in traditional folk dances and local artworks. With abundant marine life and mineral resources, the islands are advancing towards a greener, brighter future. Lakshadweep is set to amaze visitors with its breathtaking wonders and picturesque seascapes. in the enduring spirit of incredible India.
Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj. Coming up in the next hour, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi receives Guard of Honor at Kuwait Amir's Bayan Palace. Will meet Kuwaiti leadership. Big relief for US citizens ahead of Christmas. Government shutdown averted as President Biden signs funding bill into law. Russia claims striking Ukrainian ammunition depot, while Ukraine reports repelling attacks. US carries out series of airstrikes against Houthis in Yemen. Within hours of the Houthis fired a ballistic missile at Israel. And in cricket, India clinch under-19 Women's Asia Cup title after beating Bangladesh by 41 runs in Kuala Lumpur. First up, news on Prime Minister Narendra Modi's two-day visit to Kuwait. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who is on a visit to Kuwait, a first for an Indian premier in 43 years, received a ceremonial welcome and guard of honor at the Bayan Palace, the Kuwait Emir's official residence. Prime Minister was received by his Kuwaiti counterpart Sheikh Ahmed Abdullah Al Ahmed Al Sabah. Extensive talks with the Amir, Crown Prince and PM of Kuwait lie ahead. Earlier on Saturday, the Prime Minister addressed a massive gathering of the Indian diaspora at a special event named Hala Modi at Sheikh Saad Al Abdullah Indoor Sports Complex in the city. Indian nationals representing a cross-section of the community in Kuwait attended the event. Prime Minister Modi was welcomed by the community with exceptional warmth and enthusiasm. Addressing the Indian diaspora event, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi said India and Kuwait share a relationship rooted in civilizational and mutual affection.
भारत और कुवैत का रिश्ता सभ्यताओं का है, सागर का है, स्नेह का है, व्यापार कारोबार का है। भारत और कुवैत अरब सागर के दो किनारों पर बसे। हमें सिर्फ डिप्लोमेसी ने ही नहीं कि दिलों ने आपस में जोड़ा है।
Prime Minister Modi highlighted that Kuwait helped India when it needed the most by providing liquid oxygen to the country. PM Modi added that India too supported Kuwait during the COVID-19 pandemic by sending vaccines.
जब भारत को सबसे ज्यादा जरूरत पड़ी तो कुवैत ने हिंदुस्तान को लिक्विड ऑक्सीजन की सप्लाई दी। हिज हाइनेस द क्राउन प्रिंस ने खुद आगे आकर सबको तेजी से काम करने के लिए प्रेरित किया। मुझे संतोष है कि भारत ने भी कुवैत को वैक्सीन भेजकर इस संकट से लड़ने का साहस दिया। भारत ने अपने पोर्ट खुले रखे ताकि कुवैत और इसके आसपास के क्षेत्रों में खाने पीने की चीजों का कोई अभाव ना हो।
Applauding the country's achievements, Prime Minister Modi said that India is the 5th largest economy in the world. It is home to the world's #1 fintech ecosystem and the 3rd largest startup ecosystem globally.
आज भारत दुनिया की 5वीं सबसे बड़ी इकोनॉमी है। आज दुनिया का #1 फिनटेक इकोसिस्टम भारत में है। आज दुनिया का 3रा सबसे बड़ा स्टार्टअप इकोसिस्टम भारत में है। आज भारत दुनिया का 2रा सबसे बड़ा मोबाइल निर्माता देश है। मैं आपको एक आंकड़ा देता हूं और सुनकर आपको भी अच्छा लगेगा। बीते 10 साल में भारत ने जितना ऑप्टिकल फाइबर बिछाया है, भारत में जितना ऑप्टिकल फाइबर बिछाया है उसकी लंबाई वो धरती और चंद्रमा की दूरी से भी 8 गुना अधिक है।
Prime Minister Modi also highlighted that countries around the world are opening their doors to India's skilled workforce.
भारत ने हाल के वर्षों में करीब 2 दर्जन देशों के साथ माइग्रेशन और रोजगार से जुड़े समझौते किए। इनमें गल्फ कंट्रीज के अलावा जापान, ऑस्ट्रेलिया, फ्रांस, जर्मनी, मॉरिशस, यूके और इटली जैसे देश शामिल हैं। दुनिया के देश भी भारत की स्किल्ड मैन पावर के लिए दरवाजे खोल रहे हैं। साथियों, विदेशों में जो भारतीय काम कर रहे हैं उनके वेलफेयर और सुविधाओं के लिए भी अनेक देशों से समझौते किए जा रहे हैं।
And DD India correspondent Akshay Dongre is joining us live from Kuwait for more. Hi Akshay, we just heard what Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi said. He also highlighted, that countries around the world are opening their doors to India's skilled workforce and many other things. First things first, tell us what is happening there and how excited, are the Indian diaspora?
Well, there is excitement not just in Indian diaspora, but the Kuwaiti people as well, Siddharth. In fact, we have been traveling around the country, and it's not just the Indian origin people who are asking us about the visit by the Prime Minister, but also the Kuwaiti people as well. The people-to-people connect has been strong for the past several decades. It was just a lack of a personal touch by the Indian leadership that was missing. And with the arrival of Prime Minister to Kuwait, that need has also been fulfilled with the Prime Minister being here in Kuwait right now. So there is a lot of excitement. There is a lot of clamor as far as Prime Minister's visit is concerned. People are excited, and not just the Indian diaspora members. It's the Kuwaiti people as well, the Kuwaiti corporates, the government. every sector is enthusiastic about the visit of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Now, what is happening right now is the bilaterals between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the leadership of Kuwait. In fact, the first bilateral was about was with the Emir of Kuwait. The second is with the Crown Prince of Kuwait, and the third with the Prime Minister of Kuwait. And then there will be signing up of memorandums of understanding, followed by an official press conference by both the sides as far as this visit is concerned. It's a huge success, in fact, Siddharth. As far as the visit is concerned, it's a historic visit. We saw yesterday how Prime Minister Narendra Modi touched upon all the aspects of the Indian diaspora, as well as the cultural similarities between the two countries, the areas of engagements besides trade and other investments. Prime Minister Narendra Modi attended the Arabian Gulf Cup as well of football, where he attended the opening up of the ceremony along with the Emir of Kuwait at the invitation of the Emir. So, in fact, it's not just an official visit per se, but also a personal visit as well, with the kind of engagements that we are seeing, both the leaders enjoying the opening up ceremony of the Arabian Gulf Cup, sharing their love for football as well, and sports too, which can be another potential area of engagements between the two countries, with Kuwait and India both, thriving to become major sports power around the world as well. So we can expect a lot of engagements to take place as far as both the countries are concerned now here on, including in the defense sector, in the education sector. There is healthcare, where Kuwait can learn a lot from India. There is maritime defense, where both the sides can exchange views and expertise when it comes to their respective landscapes are concerned. There can be a joint military exercise between the two countries that can be started as far as a cooperation between these two nations is concerned. And besides that, people-to-people connect and welfare of Indians who are living in Kuwait and in the Gulf region, that remains a priority as well. But also, let's also talk about the elephant in the room, the most important pillar as far as the relation between the two countries is concerned, and that is energy security for India. And Kuwait being the sixth largest supplier of crude oil and fourth largest supplier of LPG, it is very much there as far as India's priorities are concerned when it comes to energy needs. And we can expect it's not just the current energy supplies, but both the countries can share their expertise in the future of energy, that is green energy, hydrocarbons, and renewable energy sources such as wind energy, solar energy, because both the countries have a lot of space and environment where wind energy can be harnessed, solar energy can be harnessed. Both the countries have deserts where solar energy can be exploited as far as Kuwait and India are concerned. So we can expect both the countries engaging in that arena as well. So we can expect a lot of memorandums of understanding being signed between the two countries. And as the Prime Minister said, that while the distance between the two countries is just 4.5 hours when you take a flight from Delhi to Kuwait city, but it took about 43 years for a Prime Minister to come. But we can expect a closer relation moving forward between the two countries.
Definitely, indeed, Akshay, this is a very significant and historic visit by the Indian Prime Minister. In fact, any Indian Prime Minister is visiting Kuwait after like 43 years, to be very specific. Akshay, you just told us about this visit will certainly strengthen the energy bilateral ties between both the countries, and especially elephant in the room, like you just mentioned, energy security. India will certainly strengthen its energy security this time around, and relations will certainly be strengthened. Also, can you just tell us a bit about the MOUs? I know they will be signed a while after a while, but can you just share some details on what MOU is the most specific or most awaited among all?
Well, Siddharth, in fact, all of the areas that we were discussing, including trade, investment, energy security, defense cooperation, pharmaceutical industry, education, healthcare, all of these are important in their respective areas. But when it comes to Prime Minister's priorities, we saw that when he landed here in Kuwait, his first engagement was with the workers, was to visit a labor camp in Kuwait and see the living conditions for Indians We have seen this in the past as well, that Prime Minister has prioritized the welfare of the Indian diaspora. In fact, Prime Minister, when he was speaking at Hala Modi event as well, he thanked the Indian community that is working in Kuwait and that is in fact contributing to the Kuwait society, while also working for our country as well, for their country as well. So we can expect certain MOUs to be signed between the two countries. That is going to be that seems to be the priority of Prime Minister about the Indian diaspora and people-to-people exchange. How the working conditions can be significantly improved, even from what it is right now in the coming years. So that is going to be there. And second is going to be about energy supplies, because Kuwait is in fact a country with one of the largest proven oil resources, proven oil reserves in the world. In fact, 6% of proven oil reserves in the world is in Kuwait, with a country significantly smaller than the other Gulf nations here, as compared to Iran or Saudi Arabia. But it has a lot of resources when it comes to fossil fuels. So that is going to be there, and Kuwait will also be expecting to share and to tap into the India's growth story into Indian markets, given the fact that the growth story is exemplary one when it comes to Indian markets and Indian industry.
Definitely, Akshay. As of now, we leave it there, but we are seeing some wonderful reports by you. Keep sending them, and we'll keep taking you, on air as far as the MOUs are concerned. Thank you so much for now.
Absolutely. Thank you.
The Indians in Kuwait warmly welcomed the Prime Minister with colourful performances by artists during the community event. Let's listen in to what they said about meeting the Prime Minister of India.
About the development and the rank of India in the world. For the India is 5th in economy. That's all.
Now Modi is always good, always brilliant. He conclude everything from the beginning to the end. Development of India, relation of Kuwait, everything very nice. We were very excited for Modi. Hip hip hooray! Modi hai to mumkin hai.
43 years, first time he is coming. 43 years after 43 years, it's great. Yeah, and the speech is awesome. Yeah, and we are very lucky to see the Modi and his speech, and we are here presently. It's a lifetime achievement.
India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi emphasized the strong trade and cultural ties between India and Kuwait during his ongoing visit to the Gulf nation. Speaking to Kuwait's news agency Kuna on Saturday, PM Modi highlighted the steady growth in bilateral trade and the deep-rooted relationship between the two countries, which he described as both dynamic and historic. PM Modi highlighted key areas of cooperation such as energy, trade, diversification and innovation, while urging businesses and entrepreneurs from both countries to collaborate further. Prime Minister Modi also noted the significant contributions of the Indian expatriate community in Kuwait's development, emphasizing their role as a bridge between the two nations. Still to come on DD Indian News Hour. India condemns a Christmas market attack in Germany, in which 7 Indians sustained injuries. 38 people die in major road mishap in Brazil.
Pollution of all types across the globe is a huge problem. But what is the solution to this? Does it require individual efforts, community action, or state interference? Let's take a look at some of the possibilities, challenges and opportunities.
They have to segregate their waste, manage their organic waste within their premises as far as possible. They have to hand over the rest of the waste, the residual waste, to the authorized waste collector.
When the local administration saw what I had done, it decided to build the drainage system you see here, connecting the whole area to it.
Trees are our lifesavers. They give us oxygen, and it's unfair to harm them by hammering iron nails into them just for the sake of ads.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj. Indian Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri is in Mauritius for a 3-day visit, marking the first high-level bilateral engagement between India and Mauritius following the formation of the new government led by Prime Minister Naveen Ramgoolam. During the visit, Foreign Secretary met the former Prime Minister of Mauritius, Pravind Kumar Jugnauth, Discussions were held covering the special nature of India-Mauritius ties and the people-focused nature of the development partnership. The Foreign Secretary Misri also met Deputy Prime Minister of Mauritius and discussed ways on further consolidating the truly exceptional bilateral ties. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar said India will not permit others to impose a veto on its choices and stressed it would act in its interests without being intimidated to conform. He was addressing an audience virtually in Mumbai ceremony organized by South Indian Education Society, where he was conferred the 27 Sri Chandrasekhara Saraswati National Eminence Award for Public Leadership.
Deep inherent unity of our existence that has allowed diversity to flower in our land. This should never be misportrayed as a negotiation between parts that are actually so integral. Nor can our great nation be projected as an idea. On the contrary, it is a timeless reality and an enduring feature in a changing world. Independence should also never be confused for neutrality. We will do whatever is right in our national interest and for global good without being intimidated to conform. In the final analysis, Bharat can never permit others to have a veto on its choices.
The External Affairs Minister also said that India had shown to everyone in the last decade that it had the capabilities, confidence and the commitment to advance development across the board.
Our nation and society are poised today at a crucial juncture. On the one hand, the last decade has demonstrated that we have the capabilities, the confidence, and most importantly, the commitment to advance development across broad fronts. On the global stage, we have established ourselves as an independent power, but one committed to global good, especially the well-being of the global South. At the same time, however, the constraints and limitations that have long been our bane still remain in play. There are viewpoints and ideologies which are more pessimistic, divisive, and even denigrating of ourselves. As a democratic polity and a pluralistic society, today, as to the course the nation will take in the coming times, both the direction and destination would depend on our identity as a people, our convictions as a society, and our vision as a nation.
US President Joe Biden signed the government funding bill on Saturday, averting a Christmas-time government shutdown after successful negotiations between Republicans and the Democrats in both houses of the Congress. In a statement, Biden highlighted the bill includes disaster relief and avoids an accelerated pathway to a tax cut for billionaires. The Democratic-controlled Senate, in an 85-11 vote, passed the bill to continue government funding 38 minutes after it expired at midnight. The government did not invoke shutdown procedures in the interim. The package had earlier cleared the Republican-controlled House of Representatives with bipartisan support. The late-night vote capped a frenetic week that saw President-elect Donald Trump and his ally Elon Musk defeat an initial bipartisan deal, throwing Congress into disarray. If the funding bill had failed, non-essential government functions would have been put on ice. Employees in key services like law enforcement would have continued working but would only have been paid once government functions were back up. The US military says it bombed missile storage facility and a command and control facility operated by Houthis in Yemen's Sana'a on Saturday. US Central Command forces said that the attack aimed to suspend Houthi operations such as attacks against US Navy warships and merchant vessels in the southern Red Sea, Bab al-Mandeb and Gulf of Aden. Adding further, the forces also said it struck multiple Houthi drones and an anti-ship cruise missile over the Red Sea. The attack came within hours of the Houthis fired a ballistic missile at Israel, which injured more than a dozen people in a Tel Aviv park. Syria's new rulers have appointed Murhaf Abu Qasra, a key leader in uprising that ended Bashar al-Assad's rule as defense minister, an official source said on Saturday. Abu Qasra is a senior leader in Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, the Islamist group that spearheaded Assad's recent ousting. The announcement follows intense discussions led by Syria's de facto leader Ahmad al-Shara on shaping the nation's military future. Prime Minister Mohammad al-Bashir vowed to rebuild the defense ministry with rebel factions and defectors as Syria begins a fragile 3-month transitional phase. China criticized new U.S. military aid to Taiwan on Sunday, saying the $571 million package seriously violates One China principle and provisions of joint communiques between China and the U.S. As per the ministry's release, China will take all necessary measures to protect its sovereignty and territorial integrity, calling Taiwan a red line that must not be crossed in China-U.S. relations. The White House said on Friday that Biden had authorized the drawdown of up to $571.3 million in defense articles and services of the Department of Defense and military education and training to provide assistance to Taiwan. Moving on to updates from Germany, where authorities have identified a Saudi man with a history of anti-Islam rhetoric as the suspected driver in car ramming attack at a Christmas market in Magdeburg, which killed 5 people. The suspect is 50-year-old Saudi psychiatrist Taleb Javed al-Abdul Mohsen, who has lived in Germany for almost 2 decades, was arrested at the scene, ending a bloody attack that injured hundreds in just 3 minutes. The motivation of the suspect may have been disgruntlement with the way Saudi Arabian refugees are treated in Germany, as per a prosecutor. City official further announced that the Christmas market will remain closed this year. A 9-year-old child and 4 adults were killed in the attack and some 200 people were wounded, 41 of whom had either serious or critical injuries, meaning the death toll could increase. 7 Indians were also injured in the attack, while 3 of them have been discharged from hospital. India's External Affairs Ministry condemned the attack, calling it horrific and senseless. In an official statement, ministry said that all the possible assistance is being provided to the injured and their families. A tragic traffic accident was reported in Brazil on Sunday, where a bus with 45 passengers on board collided with a truck on Sunday. The accident took place in the Brazilian state of Minas Gerais. According to the officials, 38 people have died, while others injured remained in critical condition after being transported to a local hospital. However, the cause of accident is yet to be known and a probe is underway. Initially, firefighters reported the bus had a tire blowout, causing the driver to lose control before colliding at around 4 a.m. local time with an oncoming truck. Let's take a look at other stories making news around the world. World's largest ice and snow theme park has been officially opened for public in northeastern city of Harbin. The 26th edition of the Harbin Ice Snow World unveiled a crystal and dreamlike fantasy themed Dream of Winter, Love Among Asia. The park was built using 300,000 cubic meters of ice and snow, incorporating elements inspired by the upcoming 2025 Harbin Asian Winter Games. The park features 9 major zones, recreating landmark landscapes of 42 countries and 3 regions which are members of the Olympic Council of Asia. Thick layer of snow blanketed New York City as the U.S. National Weather Service reported the first measurable December snowfall in the city since 2021. Other parts of the tri-state area, including areas in New York and New Jersey, woke up to find as much as 4 to 5 inches of snow. The Wild Animal Protection and Rehabilitation Center Hospital of the Van Yuzunku Yale University this year treated 500 wild animals and released them to their natural habitats. The program is part of studies that are carried out to maintain the continuity of wildlife and protect animals. And still to come on DD Indian News Hour. Home Minister Amit Shah inaugurated and laid the foundation stone of various developmental projects in Tripura. Albania banning TikTok for a year, citing growing violence among teens. You're watching DD News On. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj, and a quick recap of the headlines. Big relief for US citizens ahead of Christmas. Government shutdown averted as President Biden signs funding bill into law. Russia claims striking Ukrainian ammunition depot, while Ukraine reports repelling attacks. US carries out series of airstrikes against Houthis in Yemen. Within hours of the Houthis fired a ballistic missile at Israel. Russia claimed that its forces struck Ukrainian military ammunition depot, armored vehicles and self-propelled artillery on Saturday. The Russian Defense Ministry also announced the control of one more settlement in Ukraine. Meanwhile, the General Staff of Ukrainian Armed Forces said the military successfully repelled multiple Russian offensives. According to the officials, as of Saturday afternoon, the Ukrainian forces had engaged in over 100 fights with Russian forces. Now, the latest in a string of more intense aerial assaults in the almost 3-year-long Russia-Ukraine conflict. Kyiv launched a significant drone attack on the Russian city of Kazan on Saturday, 1,000 kilometers from the border. As per Russian Foreign Ministry, 2 drones hit a 37-story apartment complex. Alongside the drones that hit the apartment block, causing damage to skyscraper but no casualties. 3 were shot down and 3 were suppressed by air defense systems. Despite the rarity of intrusions inside Russian territory thus far, Ukrainian drones have previously targeted Kazan and the nearby oil-rich areas of Tatarstan. Earlier, Russian Civil Aviation Authority temporarily closed Kazan International Airport, but later on it reopened on Saturday amid the threat posed by Ukrainian drones. Thousands of Mexican migrant workers, undeterred by the looming threat of deportation under President-elect Donald Trump, made their way back to Mexico for the year-end holidays. More than 20,000 migrants on Thursday gathered in Nuevo Laredo to form a caravan, traveling over 1,000 kilometers to avoid the dangers of criminal groups preying on them during the journey. Despite the political tension between the US and Mexico, these migrants returned to their hometowns, including Jalpan de Cera in Querétaro. Querétaro, I beg your pardon, where they were warmly welcomed by local residents in anticipation of Christmas celebrations. This mass return occurs as the incoming Trump administration prepares to implement its controversial deportation plans. US President-elect Donald Trump criticized the unjust costs for US ships using the Panama Canal and threatened that the US would reassume control of the canal if it felt that Panama wasn't honoring the terms of a 1977 treaty regarding the waterway's legal status. The treaty signed between United States and Panama brought a significant shift in global maritime power. The agreement granted Panama control over the Panama Canal that was initially constructed by the US. It marked a major turning point in Panama's sovereignty and international relations. Albania announced a one-year ban on TikTok, the popular short video app, following the killing of a teenager last month that raised fears over the influence of social media on children. The ban, part of broader plan to make schools safer, will come into effect early next year. Prime Minister Edi Rama said after meeting with parents, groups and teachers from across the country. Several European countries, including France, Germany and Belgium, have enforced restrictions on social media use for children. In one of the world's toughest regulations targeting big tech, Australia approved in November a complete social media ban for children under 16. And now some national updates. India's Home Minister Amit Shah inaugurated and laid the foundation stone of various development projects worth over 660 crore rupees in Tripura's Dhalai district on Sunday. Home Minister, who's on a visit, in fact 3-day visit to Tripura, also visited the Bru settlement camp at Haduklau in Tripura. During his interaction with the Bru settlers, Minister assured the inhabitants that those who do not have Ayushman Bharat card will soon get their own cards. Minister also urged the youth to take good education in, to prosper in life. The World Health Organization has praised India for making significant progress in reducing malaria cases and deaths, especially in states where malaria is more common. This achievement has highlighted in WHO's World Malaria Report 2024. According to the report, malaria cases in India dropped from 6.4 million in 2017 to around 2 million in 2023, a huge 69% reduction. Malaria-related deaths also fell significantly from 11,100 in 2017 to 3,500 in 2023, marking a 68% decrease. WHO acknowledged the vital role of India's community health workers, most of whom are women. These workers have been instrumental in bringing down malaria cases and deaths by reaching people in remote areas. The report also noted that India has officially exited the high burden to high impact group this year, thanks to the considerable progress in reducing malaria in its high risk states. Let's take a look at other stories making news in the homeland. India marks National Mathematics Day on Sunday, honouring the birth anniversary of Srinivasa Ramanujan, a self-taught genius. Ramanujan's work revolutionized number theory, inspiring generations to pursue mathematics with passion and curiosity. 26 villages across 6 districts in the eastern coastal state of Odisha have been declared tsunami ready by the Intergovernmental Oceanographic Commission of UNESCO. This recognition highlights Odisha's model for coastal disaster preparedness, gaining global acclaim. Rescue operation continues after an under-construction building collapsed in the northern Indian state of Punjab. 1 dead and some more were suspected to be trapped under the debris, and teams of National Disaster Response Force and army personnel are engaged in the rescue work. Still to come on DD India News Hour. India to take on the West Indies in a 3-match women's ODI series starting today.
Pollution of all types across the globe is a huge problem. But what is the solution to this? Does it require individual efforts, community action, or state interference? Let's take a look at some of the possibilities, challenges and opportunities.
They have to segregate their waste, manage their organic waste within their premises as far as possible. They have to hand over the rest of the waste, the residual waste, to the authorized waste collector.
When the local administration saw what I had done, it decided to build the drainage system you see here, connecting the whole area to it.
Trees are our lifesavers. They give us oxygen, and it's unfair to harm them by hammering iron nails into them just for the sake of ads.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj, and time now for sport. Let's take a look at highlights from the half-pipe competition at the FIS Free Ski World Cup. Chinese half-pipe star Eileen Gu won a record 17th World Cup title at Copper Mountain in Colorado on Saturday. The 21-year-old Gu took an early lead with an opening score of 90.5 on her first run. This victory marked her 14th in a row and record settling 17th of all time. On the men's side, American Alex Ferreira was back on top at Copper with a winning score of 94.75 on his second run, the highest score awarded throughout the competition. Ferreira earned his 10th World Cup win, beating Canada's Brandon McKay and compatriot Nicholas Gopper, who took second and third place respectively. In football, Alexander Sorloth scored in stoppage time to give Atletico Madrid a 2-1 comeback victory over Barcelona on Saturday. This win lifted Atletico to the top of La Liga table with 41 points, making their 12th consecutive win across all competitions. They are now 3 points ahead of Barcelona. Barcelona were the better team in first half, with Pedri scoring in 30th minute after a brilliant run into the box. Atletico equalized when Rodrigo de Paul capitalized on a poor clearance from Marc Casado, finishing from the edge of the box. Sorloth then sealed the win with a first-time strike 6 minutes into stoppage time, converting a deep cross from Nahuel Molina. West Indies women's skipper Hayley Matthews won the toss and elected to bowl first in the first ODI of the 3-match series against India at the Kotambi Stadium in Vadodara. Skipper Harmanpreet Kaur returned to the India playing 11 after missing the second and third T20Is at Navi Mumbai because of a knee injury. India handed debut to off-spinner Pratika Rawal. Put into bat first, India started their inning on a positive note. Currently, India are batting on 64 without any loss. India clinched under-19 Women's Asia Cup title after beating Bangladesh by 41 runs in Kuala Lumpur on Sunday. Batting first, India relied on opener G. Trisha's 52-run knock to post a total of 117 runs on the board. Mithila scored 17 runs for the Indian side and hammered 2 boundaries in the final over of India's innings. In reply, Bangladesh could only manage 76 runs in their 20 overs before succumbing to Indian bowlers. For India, Ayushi Shukla took 3 wickets while Sonam Yadav and Parunika Sisodia took 2 wickets each. Alright, and DD correspondent Narayan Singh is joining us live for more. Hi Narayan, first things first, what a win. How do you analyze this entire match?
Definitely a fantastic win by India despite the conditions were not good to bat here. The wickets were quite spongy, especially the tricky, and the way the Indian spinner performed well. All our 3 left-arm orthodox spinners played fantastically and didn't allow any space to their opponent. And the way Parunika performed, and especially the Ayushi Shukla took 3 wickets, and also she is the top wicket taker of the tournament, taking 10 wickets. So all in all, a fantastic performance by the spinners. But the way our opener Trisha started the match and performed a fantastic knock and scored 52 runs, that was the key moment of the game, because we know that the conditions were not good to bat, and that 50, and towards the end, the way Parunika Vinod and other batter performed well, give the quick contribution towards the end. Especially that was fantastic, and that helped India to register a respectable target of 117. And when the opponent came to bat, they didn't allow any space to them, and they were bundled out early, and India won that match by a margin of 41 runs. So throughout the tournament, not only this match, there was a consistent performance by the Indian batters, bowlers throughout the tournament. They remain unbeaten throughout the tournament. So we can say that this is a strong bench strength of the Indian cricket team, the under-19 team, the way they played, and definitely they are ready for the next stage.
Definitely, Narayan. One thing which I want to ask you is that, when it comes to women cricketers, Indian women cricketers and women cricket, in India. It has flourished like anything over the past few years, especially, courtesy the government's assistance to them, definitely number one, and second, their hard work also. How do you analyze, their cricket flourishing, over the years, and they're winning tournaments after tournaments, their bowling is improving, they're working on all the three departments, be it batting, be it bowling, and be it fielding. How do you analyze their hard work besides the government's assistance?
Definitely, if we talk about the way the cricket progress in India, especially the women's cricket, it's a big thing. The way the Indian batters, women batters, even if you talk about the senior level, the way they are performing and consistently performing well in the mega tournaments, and here the juniors too performing well. This shows that the Indian women's cricket is on an upward trajectory. And in the past also we saw that especially the cricketers like Smriti Mandhana, Harmanpreet Kaur, and in the past Mithali was there. So we also produced the world-class cricketer like Mithali Raj, and many more names were there.
Definitely.
So we can say that a good work done by the BCCI, and kudos to BCCI in promoting the women's cricketer.
Indeed.
Women's cricket.
Indeed.
Definitely.
Indeed. Narayan, also credit also goes to the equipment, which they use usually. We just saw your report few days ago, a wonderful report by you indeed. You went to Meerut, Narayan, and you showed everything, from the scratch, that how the bats are made, how the balls are made, and the kind of bats, which cricketers use, contribute a lot.
Definitely, we know that India is a hub in the sports manufacturing, especially in the cricket bat and the cricket ball. And we know that the cricketers all across the world are using the bats that are made in Meerut. Even the balls we are using, even it is for the pink ball cricket, for the day-night test match, red ball match, the test match with which it is played. So all in all, we can say that the India is not only performing well on the field, but off the field also. The way our craftsmen were performing, the way they are manufacturing, because the role of handicraft is becomes very crucial in the cricket bat and the cricket ball. And definitely we are just not only in Indian cricketers, the cricketers, overseas cricketer too are also using these facilities.
Definitely, Narayan, and this match was about under 19, and we also discussed about how Indian cricket is flourishing both in men and women department. So how do you see, who are the potential cricketers who will be making their way to the main India team from this under 19 team? What's your analysis on this?
There are many more names, especially the way Trisha performed throughout the tournament. She performed well, and she was the highest, we can say, the run getter of this tournament with 152 runs. If you take a look at the top 3 wicket takers in this under 19 tournament, there were 2 Indians. Ayushi Shukla was there, and Sonam was there, and many more names were there in the top 5 list. If you talk about the batters list too, there were the top 2 Indians. Top 2 Indians are there in the top 3 list. So it shows that India has a strong bench strength, and the way Ayushi Shukla bowled. If you take a look today's match, there were three left-arm spinners who took wickets. So this shows that there is immense potential in the Indian cricket team, and definitely Ayushi, the way she bowled today throughout the tournament, the way G Trisha played throughout the tournament, she was a top run getter. Definitely in the coming times you will see these names featuring in the senior teams too.
Definitely. Narayan, can you tell us about the pitch condition there in Kuala Lumpur? How was it? Was it beneficial for the batters, or was it most favorable to the bowlers? How was the bowling conditions there? And tell us overall thing about when it comes to the wicket there.
It was very tough. It was spongy wicket. Definitely the ball was keeping low, and we know that as our spinners took 3 wickets, the way Sonam Yadav and Parinika Sisodia and the way Ayushi Shukla, they took wickets. All of them are the left-arm spinners. So it shows that the conditions was very tricky, and it was not easy to bat in such conditions. So that's why kudos to G Trisha, the way she batted and scored 52 runs for the India. If you take a look at the Bangladesh squad, only 2 batters reached the double-digit figure. So they couldn't handle the situation and the tricky condition that were there in place. So it was difficult, but India posted a respectable target, and they easily defended their target because of their immense potential in the spin bowling lineup.
Okay, final question, Narayan, before we let you go. How do you analyze this particular under-19 team? They have created history, they have lifted the cup. Now what next? How do you analyze that? Are there some challenges which, needs to be pointed out? Or are there some challenges which needs to be rectified in the coming future for the under-19 cricket team in terms of facilities, and in terms of anything which you analyze?
Definitely, as you mentioned, this team, one thing I pointed about this team throughout the tournament, they remain unbeaten and they know the art of not to lose a match by playing few bad overs, few bad strokes. So this was the thing with this team, especially this under-19 team. So unless and until a team don't have this idea, this strategy, this mentality, they can't win the big tournaments. So definitely when these players who have a strong mentality, a strong mental, we can say that match sense, definitely when they grow up, when they will go to the next stage in the senior competition, in the mega event, definitely it's a big boon for the Indian cricket, because we know that in the 50-over World Cup, India regularly knocked the doors at the knockout stages, but multiple times we saw that they faltered them at the crucial juncture of the match. So such players definitely who has a strong mentality to hold their nerves, definitely this is a big boon for the Indian cricket. In coming times, we will see India with such bunch of players dominating the women's cricket in the world of cricket.
Definitely, from this match to how the equipments are made, to what lies ahead in front of the women's under-19 team, your analysis was brilliant, Narayan, and your report was also wonderful. Keep sending us these reports. We leave it there. Thank you so much. In another significant achievement, India's total forest and tree cover has increased to 25.17% in 2023 from 24.62% as per the latest India State of Forest Report 2023. The forest cover has minimally increased compared to tree cover in the country. And meanwhile, the first-time trees grown under agroforestry have also been covered. States that added forests and tree covers are Chhattisgarh, UP, Odisha, Rajasthan and Jharkhand, and states which reduced its forest and tree covers are MP, Karnataka, Nagaland, Bihar and Tripura. The report estimates of growing stock, the extent of trees outside forests, mangrove cover, bamboo resources and assessment of forest carbon stock. Christmas festivities are in full swing across the globe, with unique celebrations spreading holiday cheer. Santa Claus visited Venezuela's capital to deliver presents to children in some of Caracas's neighborhoods. Meanwhile, in Spain, dozens of excited Spaniards queue for Christmas lottery draw in Madrid for Christmas festivities. India's public broadcaster Prasar Bharati has recently launched Waves, entering the field of OTT platform. Waves provides a complete infotainment ecosystem to digital media and OTT audiences. If you also want great content for free, then download Waves today. That's all for this edition of DD India News Hour, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. And for those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms, and you can scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news. Indeed, I was saying that we'll be back. Stay tuned to DD India. News and updates will continue.
Pollution of all types across the globe is a huge problem. But what is the solution to this? Does it require individual efforts, community action, or state interference? Let's take a look at some of the possibilities, challenges and opportunities.
They have to segregate their waste, manage their organic waste within their premises as far as possible. They have to hand over the rest of the waste, the residual waste, to the authorized waste collector.
When the local administration saw what I had done, it decided to build the drainage system you see here, connecting the whole area to it.
Trees are our lifesavers. They give us oxygen, and it's unfair to harm them by hammering iron nails into them just for the sake of ads.
सर आपका केवाईसी अपडेट करना है, नहीं तो अकाउंट और एटीएम कार्ड ब्लॉक हो जाएगा।
सावधान सावधान। 2.5 करोड़ का इनाम मुझे। देखिए, अनजाने कॉल्स, फर्जी ईमेल्स, लिंक्स और जाली ऐप से अपना पिन, ओटीपी, पासवर्ड कभी भी किसी के साथ शेयर न करें। आप रहेंगे सावधान तो नहीं होगा नुकसान। आरबीआई कहता है, जानकार बनिए, सतर्क रहिए।
Goa, a wild paradise like none other. My work as a filmmaker has taken me across the world to some of the most hostile and incredible places on our planet. But Goa, where I grew up, and the place I call home, will always be one of my favorite places on earth. I'm taking you on a journey across the state to explore the wildlife, heritage, food, and adventure sport here. This is going to be a journey like none other. Over a third of Goa remains wild today, and every corner is full of surprises. But my favorite time in the forest is late at night, when the forest comes alive.
I haven't seen this in years. It's these bracket fungi that are spawning, and you direct your light in the perfect spot. You can see these plumes that look very much like multicolored smoke.
Our love for the forest in Goa extends into our culture too, where the elephant god Ganesha is revered across the state.
कितले वर्ष जाले तुका एक गणेशाची मूर्ती करता तू?
हांव भुरग्यापणासून करता.
अच्छा.
आनी पयलीं आमची गणेशाची मूर्ती आमचो फादर करतालो, डॅडी करतालो, डॅडीचो डॅडी करतालो. ते आमच्या जनरेशन बी येयल्या.
फॅमिली बिझनेस आसा.
फॅमिली बिझनेस आमचो.
वाव.
गणेशाची मूर्ती आपल्या हातून घडटा, आमकां प्राऊड फील जाता. आमच्या मूर्तीकारांक सगळ्यांक म्हाका सगळे कोण मूर्तीकार करता प्राऊड फील.
So much of what makes Goa so special is that it is a land steeped in diverse and intersecting cultures and traditions. Here, influences from multiple faiths coalesce in beautiful ways. These cultural influences are reflected in our food too, where a range of ingredients and age-old recipes come together to create culinary marvels. My favorite kind of cuisine in the state is the lesser-known Saraswat cuisine, which makes the very best use of all the freshly caught seafood in Goa.
Taking a second bite because it's so good. Just amazing. So are these ingredients that your ancestors would have used, say, 500, 700 years back?
I think it would be very much similar. Because I've not changed anything. Neither do I intend to change anything.
After a good meal, there's always incredible adventures to be had across Goa's grasslands, mangroves, and forests. Far away from the city, the Indian Ocean hugs the southern coastline, the perfect setting for a paramotoring adventure.
That was absolutely incredible. I think it was definitely one of the smoothest landings I've had in any aircraft. So well done.
Hey, what a compliment. Thank you.
My journey across Goa has shown me that no matter where you are in the state, there are always adventures to be had and new discoveries around the corner. Watch Postcards from Goa on National Geographic.
Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Preeti Kaur. Coming up in the next 1 hour. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi receives Guard of Honor at Kuwait Amir's Bayan Palace, will meet the Kuwaiti leadership. Big relief for US citizens ahead of Christmas. Government shutdown averted as President Biden signs funding bill into law. Russia claims striking Ukrainian ammunition depot while Ukrainian reports repel the attacks. US carries out series of airstrikes against Houthis in Yemen. Within hours of the Houthis fired a ballistic missile at Israel. All right, first up, we get to updates on Prime Minister Narendra Modi's two-day visit to Kuwait. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi was accorded a ceremonial welcome and Guard of Honor at the Bayan Palace in Kuwait. Today, the Prime Minister was received by his Kuwaiti counterpart, Sheikh Ahmed Abdullah Al Ahmed Al Sabah. Prime Minister Narendra Modi's ongoing visit to Kuwait marks a significant milestone in the India-Kuwait ties, being the first visit by an Indian Prime Minister in 43 years. Earlier on Saturday, the Prime Minister addressed a massive gathering of the Indian diaspora at a special event named Hala Modi at the Sheikh Saad Al Abdullah Indoor Sports Complex in the city. Indian nationals representing a cross-section of the community in Kuwait attended the event. Prime Minister Modi was welcomed by the community with exceptional warmth and enthusiasm. Addressing the Indian diaspora event, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi said that India and Kuwait share a relationship rooted in civilization and mutual affection.
भारत और कुवैत का रिश्ता सभ्यताओं का है, सागर का है, स्नेह का है, व्यापार कारोबार का है। भारत और कुवैत अरब सागर के दो किनारों पर बसे। हमें सिर्फ डिप्लोमेसी ने ही नहीं कि दिलों ने आपस में जोड़ा है।
Prime Minister Narendra Modi highlighted that Kuwait helped India when it needed the most by providing liquid oxygen to the country. Prime Minister Modi added that India too supported Kuwait during the COVID-19 pandemic by sending vaccines.
जब भारत को सबसे ज्यादा जरूरत पड़ी तो कुवैत ने हिंदुस्तान को लिक्विड ऑक्सीजन की सप्लाई दी। हिज हाइनेस द क्राउन प्रिंस ने खुद आगे आकर सबको तेजी से काम करने के लिए प्रेरित किया। मुझे संतोष है कि भारत ने भी कुवैत को वैक्सीन भेजकर इस संकट से लड़ने का साहस दिया। भारत ने अपने पोर्ट्स खुले रखे ताकि कुवैत और इसके आसपास के क्षेत्रों में खाने पीने की चीजों का कोई अभाव ना हो।
Applauding the country's achievements, Prime Minister Narendra Modi said that India is the 5th largest economy in the world. It is home to the world's #1 fintech ecosystem and the 3rd largest startup ecosystem globally.
आज भारत दुनिया की 5वीं सबसे बड़ी इकोनॉमी है। आज दुनिया का #1 फिनटेक इकोसिस्टम भारत में है। आज दुनिया का 3रा सबसे बड़ा स्टार्टअप इकोसिस्टम भारत में है। आज भारत दुनिया का 2रा सबसे बड़ा मोबाइल निर्माता देश है। मैं आपको एक आंकड़ा देता हूं और सुनकर आपको भी अच्छा लगेगा। बीते 10 साल में भारत ने जितना ऑप्टिकल फाइबर बिछाया है, भारत में जितना ऑप्टिकल फाइबर बिछाया है उसकी लंबाई वो धरती और चंद्रमा की दूरी से भी 8 गुना अधिक है।
All right, DD India's Akshay Dongre joins us live from Kuwait for more. Akshay, good afternoon. Now, we've told our viewers about Prime Minister's engagements in Kuwait. This is the 2nd day of his visit to Kuwait. He was accorded a ceremonial reception. Get us more. We believe that his engagements are currently underway with the Kuwaiti leadership. Get us more on that first.
Well, yes, Preeti, in fact, the engagement started with Prime Minister Narendra Modi being accorded a ceremonial guard of honor here at the Bayan Palace, where we are also present right now. Soon after that, our Prime Minister had a bilateral engagement with the Emir of Kuwait, at whose invitation Prime Minister has arrived here in the country. Then after that, there was another engagement with the Crown Prince of Kuwait, and the last was with the Prime Minister of the country. And now, as we speak, memorandums of understanding between the two countries are being signed as far as various areas of cooperation are concerned. And soon after that, we'll also have an official press conference by India's External Affairs Ministry about the developments that have taken place, and on more details about what these MOUs have been, and what are the areas where both the countries have decided to expand their understanding, expand their cooperation. Now, we are looking at various fields when it comes to India and Kuwait, and the joint cooperation which can further enhance the relationship between the two countries. So, first and foremost, we are expecting an understanding as far as the workforce, the labor force is concerned. That has been a key relation pillar between the two countries. In fact, the expatriate community is the strongest here in Kuwait, of the Indian diaspora, with over 1 million strong Indian diaspora present and working in all spheres of life, from education sector to healthcare to pharmaceutical industry and other areas as well, where Indians have left an imprint for the past several decades and in fact centuries. So we can expect some understanding between the two countries as far as enhancing this living bridge is concerned, that is the Indian diaspora, that keeps the relationship strong between the two countries. The second can be about the healthcare industry, about pharmaceutical industry. Education is one key source of cooperation between the two countries, with about 26 CBSE affiliated schools that are functioning in Kuwait right now. Another can be on defense cooperation between the two countries, where both the countries can share their technological know-how and
state-of-the-art technology when it comes to operating, especially in the maritime field. So there are a range of areas where both the countries can expand their cooperation, and this visit is just a start to a new chapter that is set to begin with this visit of Prime Minister Narendra Modi to Kuwait.
All right, a new chapter set to begin with this visit of Prime Minister, and we also tell our viewers that this visit is happening after more than 4 decades, after 43 years. But then
Absolutely.
also when we talk of the expectations from this visit, then a lot is also being said about India strengthening its engagements with the GCC countries. Akshay, help us understand this as well.
Well, the GCC is a group of about 6 Gulf nations that are very important as far as India's energy supplies are concerned, and energy security is concerned. And currently, Kuwait is the head of the GCC grouping, and that is why also Kuwait becomes extremely important when it comes to India's energy supply and energy security needs. Now, we have given this data to our viewers in the past as well about Kuwait being the 6th largest supplier of crude oil to India, 4th largest supplier of LPG. In fact, as far as world's proven oil reserves are concerned, Kuwait has about 6% of them, despite being a much smaller country than its neighboring countries like Saudi Arabia and Iran. And despite that, Kuwait has maintained quite friendly relations with India, along with other partner nations as well. So Kuwait becomes extremely important when it comes to the geopolitical landscape and the friendship that India has with the Gulf nations, and with enhancing the cooperation with the chair of GCC. Clearly, a message is being sent by Prime Minister Narendra Modi that India's commitment to the Gulf region, as well as the trade with the region, remains strong, and then is going to only enhance in the future years.
All right, Akshay, that was about India's, India's expectations from this visit. But then when we saw the Prime Minister address the Indian diaspora, the community event yesterday, he talked of how India, is seen on the global page. The new image of India, the new India which the world sees, and he endorsed India as a wholesome package. Get us more as to what does the Kuwaiti leadership, what does Kuwait look forward to enhancing ties with India, given the way India has been showcasing its power, its might on the global page?
Well, India's growth story is not just a talking point here in Kuwait, but in the entire Gulf region. India, being the world's fastest growing major economy, has been a talk of town even before Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit was announced. There is a lot of interest as far as Indian culture is concerned. If you come to Kuwait, you can always see people talking about Bollywood, people talking about India, people talking about Prime Minister Narendra Modi as well, and what a star he is as far as global leaders are concerned. So, yes, you're absolutely right when it comes to the Kuwaiti expectations from this particular visit. You have Kuwaiti leadership eyeing at investment opportunities in India. In fact, Kuwaiti Investment Authority has invested over $10 billion in India in the last fiscal year. When it comes to India's export to Kuwait, they have crossed $2 billion mark for the first time ever. The bilateral trade currently stands at $10.47 billion in the last fiscal year. So the trade, the relations between the two countries is enhancing. Kuwait is looking at India as a very lucrative market where their investment can grow leaps and bounds as well, as it has been happening for the past 1 decade, where the growth has been non-stop. The world is talking about India's growth story. So that is one lucrative opportunity for India too, for Kuwait too. But when it comes to other areas where Kuwait can learn from Indian expertise, we have a pharmaceutical industry, we have healthcare industry, we have Make in India initiatives that have put India on the global map in the defense sector, along with other sectors as well. You have also the education sector, you have IT, advanced manufacturing, quantum computing, advanced artificial intelligence. All of these areas where India is excelling, Kuwait sees it as an opportunity to invest. And, with this visit, it is only a matter of time when more and more investments start taking place in India, be it connectivity, be it mobility, other issues as well, other areas as well, where Kuwait is eyeing India as a very good area of investment, a good region of investment, with Prime Minister Narendra Modi providing a stable government to the entire country of 1.4 billion people. So, world's largest country in terms of population with a stable government has to be a very lucrative investment opportunity for Kuwait too, and that is what exactly seems to be happening when it comes to the corporates as well as the Kuwaiti investment authorities in terms of investment and trade between the two countries.
All right, Akshay, along with your inputs, we're also showcasing the warm welcome which the Prime Minister received in Kuwait to our viewers. Get us more as to what is the contribution of the Indian diaspora in Kuwait. Even we saw the Prime Minister, how he endorsed India at the community event. But then when we talk of, people-to-people ties between the two countries, how have they strengthened? What exactly is the role of the Indian diaspora in Kuwait?
Well, the role of Indian diaspora is perhaps the most important one. A term that is used for the Indian diaspora as far as the bilateral relation between the two countries is a living bridge. Indians form the largest expat community here in Kuwait. The Kuwaiti population is around 1.5 million people, but when it comes to the Indian diaspora that lives here in Kuwait is not very less than that. It's over 1 million. We can say that almost as much as there are Kuwaiti nationals here in the country, almost equal are the Indian expats as well. So in every sphere of life, be it education, healthcare, working at homes, or working at industries, working at oil rigs, Kuwaiti society gains a lot from the Indian diaspora. Indian diaspora has been a trusted and a very reliable community in the country. In fact, a term that is used in the country is Bharat is equal to Bharosa, which is the Indians are trusted is a trusted community and a reliable community as well when it comes to all spheres of life. So you can go around Kuwait, you can see, you can talk to the locals, you can talk to the Kuwaiti people, and whenever you tell them that you're an Indian, they automatically have things to talk with you because they are very much involved in the Indian culture, Indian traditions. They know about Indian history as well, because it's quite interesting to note that even before the discovery of oil, trade was strong between the two countries, with Kuwait exporting Arabian horses, Kuwait exporting pearls, dates to India, and importing things like spices, textiles, timber for manufacturing, as well as having Indian diaspora people here much before the discovery of oil. To build the Kuwaiti society, and in fact, the Indian rupee was a legal tender here before 1960. So there you have it. It's not just the oil trade that has strengthened the relation between the two countries, but it has been a relation of culture, a relation of history and tradition as well.
All right, Akshay, we'll leave it here. Thank you so much for joining in with those details. We'll come back to you again during the day to get more on the engagements that take place in Kuwait.
Yeah.
And the Indians in Kuwait warmly welcomed the Prime Minister with colourful performances by artists during the community event. Let's listen into what they said about the meeting which they had with the Prime Minister of India.
Development and the rank of India in the world. For the India is fifth in economy. That's all.
Now Modi is always good, always brilliant. He conclude everything from the beginning to the end. Development of India, relation of Kuwait, everything very nice. We were very excited for Modi. Hip hip hooray! Modi hai to mumkin hai.
43 years, first time is coming 43 years after 43 years. It's great. Yeah, and speech is awesome. Yeah, and we are very lucky to see the Modi and his speech, and we are here presently. It's a lifetime achievement.
India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi emphasized on the strong trade and cultural ties between India and Kuwait during his ongoing visit to the Gulf nation. Speaking to Kuwait's news agency on Saturday, Prime Minister Modi highlighted the steady growth in bilateral trade and the deep-rooted relationship between the two countries, which he described as both dynamic and historic. Prime Minister Modi highlighted the key areas of cooperation such as energy, trade diversification and innovation, while urging businesses and entrepreneurs from both the countries to collaborate further. Prime Minister Modi also noted the significant contribution of the Indian expatriate community in Kuwait, emphasizing on their role as a bridge between the two nations. Prime Minister Narendra Modi also visited a workers' camp in Mina Abdullah area of Kuwait with a workforce of around 1,500 Indian nationals. Prime Minister Modi interacted with cross-section of Indian workers from different states of India and inquired about their well-being. The visit to the workers' camp is symbolic because of the importance attached by Prime Minister Modi to the welfare of Indian workers abroad. In the last few years, the government has undertaken several technology-based initiatives such as e-migrate portal, Madad portal and upgraded Prasar Bharati Bima Yojana for the welfare of Indians working abroad. Also, Indian workers top the private sector as well as the domestic sector force list according to the Indian Embassy in Kuwait. Indian exports to Kuwait reached $2 billion for the first time, while investments by Kuwait Investment Authority in India exceeded $10 billion. You're watching DD India News Hour. We're heading for a short break, but after the break, India condemns Christmas market attack in Germany in which 7 Indians sustained injuries. 38 people die in a major road mishap in Brazil. Welcome back. After the break, you're watching DD India News Hour, and all through the bulletin so far we've told you about the Prime Minister's visit to Kuwait. Today is the second day of his visit to Kuwait. His engagements with the Kuwaiti leadership is underway. We will keep you updated once the MOUs that are being signed are made public. Meanwhile, let's turn focus to other updates which we're tracking at this hour. India's Home Minister Amit Shah inaugurated and laid the foundation stone of various development projects worth over 660 crore rupees in Tripura's Dhalai district on Sunday. The Home Minister, who is on a 3-day visit to Tripura, also visited the Bru settlement camp at Haduklau in Tripura. During his interaction with the Bru settlers, Minister assured the inhabitants that those who do not have Ayushman Bharat cards will soon get their own cards. The Minister also urged the youth to take good education to prosper in life. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar said that India will not permit others to impose a veto on its choices and stressed it would act in its interest without being intimidated to confirm. He was addressing an audience virtually in a Mumbai ceremony organized by South Indian Education Society, where he was conferred the 27th Sri Chandrasekharendra Saraswati National Eminence Award for Public Leadership.
It is the deep inherent unity of our existence that has allowed diversity to flower in our land. This should never be misportrayed as a negotiation between parts that are actually so integral. Nor can our great nation be projected as an idea. On the contrary, it is a timeless reality and an enduring feature in a changing world. Independence should also never be confused for neutrality. We will do whatever is right in our national interest and for global good without being intimidated to conform. In the final analysis, Bharat can never permit others to have a veto on its choices.
The External Affairs Minister also said that India had shown to everyone in the last decade that it had the capabilities, confidence and the commitment to advance development across the board.
Our nation and society are poised today at a crucial juncture. On the one hand, the last decade has demonstrated that we have the capabilities, the confidence and most importantly, the commitment to advance development across broad fronts. On the global stage, we have established ourselves as an independent power, but one committed to global good, especially the well-being of the global South. At the same time, however, the constraints and limitations that have long been our bane still remain in play. There are viewpoints and ideologies which are more pessimistic, divisive, and even denigrating of ourselves. As a democratic polity and a pluralistic society today, as to the course the nation will take in the coming times, both the direction and destination would depend on our identity as a people, our convictions as a society, and our vision as a nation.
Indian Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri is in Mauritius for a 3-day visit, marking the first high-level bilateral engagement between India and Mauritius following the formation of the new government led by Prime Minister Naveen Ramgoolam. During the visit, Foreign Secretary met the former Prime Minister of Mauritius, Pravin Kumar Jagannath. Also, discussions were held covering the special nature of India-Mauritius ties and the people-focused nature of the development partnership. The Foreign Secretary, Vikram Misri, also met Deputy Prime Minister of Mauritius and discussed ways on further consolidating the truly exceptional bilateral ties. India has condemned the attack in Magdeburg, Germany, calling the incident horrific and senseless. In a statement, the Ministry of External Affairs said that several precious lives have been lost and many have been injured, adding the Indian mission is in contact with Indians who are injured as well as their families and rendering all possible assistance. The incident occurred on Friday evening when a car rammed into a crowded market which was full of shoppers buying things for Christmas. Meanwhile, German authorities have identified a Saudi man with a history of anti-Islam rhetoric as a suspected driver in a car ramming attack at a Christmas market in Magdeburg, which killed 5 people. The suspect is a 50-year-old Saudi psychiatrist, Taleb Jawad al-Abdul Mohsen, who has lived in Germany for almost 2 decades. He was arrested at the scene, ending a bloody attack that injured hundreds in just 3 minutes. The motivation of the suspect may have been disgruntlement with the way Saudi Arabian refugees are treated in Germany, as per a prosecutor. City officials further announced that the Christmas market will remain closed this year. A 9-year-old child and 4 adults were killed in the attack and some 200 people were wounded, 41 of whom had either serious or critical injuries, meaning the death toll could increase. The US military says it bombed missile storage facility and a command and control facility operated by Houthis in Yemen's Sana'a on Saturday. US Central Command forces said that the attack aimed to suspend Houthi operations such as attacks against US Navy warships and merchant vessels in the southern Red Sea, Bab al-Mandeb and Gulf of Aden. Adding further, the forces also said it struck multiple Houthi drones and an anti-ship cruise missile over the Red Sea. The attack came within hours of the Houthis firing a ballistic missile at Israel, which injured more than a dozen people in a Tel Aviv park. Syria's new rulers have appointed Murhaf Abu Khasra, a key leader in the uprising that ended Bashar al-Assad's rule, as defense minister, an official source said on Saturday. Abu Khasra is the senior leader in Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, the Islamist group that spearheaded Assad's recent ousting. The announcement follows intense discussions led by Syria's de facto leader Ahmad al-Shara on shaping the nation's military future. Prime Minister Mohammed al-Bashir vowed to rebuild the defense ministry with the rebel factions and defectors as Syria begins a fragile 3-month transitional phase. All right, in the latest from the ongoing conflict, Russia claimed that its forces struck Ukrainian military. We'll get you more on that, but at present we're getting you visuals from Kuwait. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is being bestowed with the highest honor, the Order of Mubarak Al-Kabir by Kuwaiti leadership. This is the 20th international honor given to Prime Minister Modi by a country. The Order of Mubarak Al-Kabir is a knighthood order of Kuwait. This order is awarded to heads of state and foreign sovereigns and to members of foreign royal families in sign of friendship. As we speak, we are getting you the visuals of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who was honored with the Order of Mubarak, the Great, or Wizam Mubarak Al-Kabir. The order is conferred in 2 classes as the highest knighthood honor of Kuwait as a sign of friendship to the heads of state and Kuwait and foreign royalty. Remember, this is the 20th international honor given to Prime Minister Narendra Modi by a country. This honor has earlier been bestowed on foreign leaders like Bill Clinton, Prince Charles and George Bush. This order is the highest honor of Kuwait, which is accorded in view of the friendship. It is awarded to heads of state and foreign sovereigns and to members of foreign royal families in sign of friendship. This is the latest we are getting for you from Kuwait. Prime Minister Narendra Modi being bestowed with the Order of Mubarak the Great or the Wizam Mubarak Al-Kabir. This is a knighthood order of Kuwait, and the Kuwaiti leadership there bestowing the honor to Prime Minister Narendra Modi. This is such 20th international honor that has been bestowed on Prime Minister by a country. This order was founded on 16th of July 1974 by the government of Kuwait to celebrate the memory of Mubarak al-Sabah, called the Great Sheikh of Kuwait, who ruled Kuwait from 1896 to 1915. Prime Minister Narendra Modi there in Kuwait, during his visit to Kuwait, in fact, being awarded the highest honor in Kuwait. This order, as we told you, is awarded to heads of state and foreign sovereigns and also members of foreign royal families as a sign of friendship. The first recipient of this award, of this honor, was former King of Jordan, Hussein bin Talal, in 1974. As we told you, this is the 20th international honor being bestowed on Prime Minister Narendra Modi by an international country. So far, when we talk of the Order of Mubarak the Great, this order has been bestowed on 23 dignitaries so far from across the world. All right, so here we see smiling faces. The Prime Minister Narendra Modi, being awarded the highest honor as a mark of respect and friendship by Kuwaiti leadership. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is on a 2-day visit to Kuwait. We saw him address the Indian diaspora at a community event. Also, we will, in a short while from now, tell you more about the engagements, about the meetings which the Prime Minister had with the Kuwaiti leadership, and MOUs were also signed between India and Kuwait. Remember, this visit of Prime Minister of India to Kuwait is happening after a gap of 43 years. So this marks the significance of this visit, the 2-day visit by Prime Minister Narendra Modi to Kuwait. This visit comes at the invitation of His Highness Sheikh Mishal Al Ahmad Al Jaber Al Sabah, the Emir of the State of Kuwait. And the Prime Minister is being bestowed with the highest honor of Kuwait during his visit to the country. This has happened during the Prime Minister's meeting which he had with the Emir of Kuwait. Sheikh Mishal Al Ahmad Al Jaber Al Sabah, bestowing the highest honor of Kuwait on Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Before departing, the Prime Minister talked of the historical connection India has with Kuwait, and that has been nurtured over the generations. And his bilateral engagements, the Prime Minister will further look forward to strengthen the relationship between India and Kuwait. MOUs have been signed. In some while from now, we'll get to the details of the MOUs as they will be made public. At present, our correspondent Akshay is joining us to get us more. Akshay, we've given a gist of this honor that is being bestowed on Prime Minister Narendra Modi. On our screens, the viewers can see Prime Minister Narendra Modi along with Emir of Kuwait with the honor. Spell out more details. Let us get more from you on this.
Well, Preeti, this is in fact an honor for every Indian, not just who lives here in Kuwait, but every Indian across the world. The Order of Mubarak Al-Kabir is awarded to heads of state and foreign sovereigns and to members of foreign royal families. This is a sign of friendship. That this is in fact one of the highest awards that is given to foreign nationals. In fact, the highest award that is given to foreign nationals, and it has been previously awarded to foreign leaders like Bill Clinton, Prince Charles and George Bush as well. So, it's not given to everyone. It's given to select few sovereign nationals, heads of states that Kuwait has given, and with a list of prestigious world leaders like George Bush, Bill Clinton and Prince Charles. Narendra Modi is now one of those leaders who is not just respected but also loved as a friend of the Kuwaiti people and the Kuwaiti leadership. So this is not just an honor for the Prime Minister but for every Indian for the service that they have done for the Kuwaiti society and especially to the Prime Minister for all the steps that he has taken to bring both the countries together, to bring both the countries closer. So, this is in fact a living sign that how much important is India and Indian diaspora's role for the Kuwaiti people, for the Kuwaiti society. Given the fact that Indian diaspora form over a 10 lakh or a million here working in all spheres of life. Everywhere where you go in Kuwait, you'll find somebody who speaks either Hindi, Malayalam or Kannada or Tamil, one of the Indian languages. In fact, even Kuwaiti people, working with their Indian, friends and other workers who are working here, they also now understand, a little bit of Hindi or some of the other Indian language. So that is a living example of how important India is and how important the Indian diaspora is for the society, and the steps that are being taken by the Prime Minister are certainly going to enhance the relationship between the two countries, the friendship between the two countries as well. Preeti?
Yes, Akshay. Now, when we talk of the awards and the accolades that have been bestowed on Prime Minister Narendra Modi, this is the 20th such honor by an international country that has been bestowed on Prime Minister Narendra Modi. A stamp enough to on the fact the way India has. It's not just about Prime Minister Narendra Modi, as he has also put earlier. It is about the Indians and the endorsement of India on the global page that is being accepted by the world now, isn't it?
There is no doubt about it. Standing of every Indian has moved so much in the last 10 years that it is unrecognizable. India, India 10 years back and India today is unrecognizable. The change that has taken place, the global standing of every Indian that has improved under the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi is unmatched. In fact, the leaps and bounds India has grown, making India in true sense a Vishwaguru. This is a living testimony. The kind of honor, the kind of awards that have been given to Prime Minister Narendra Modi is not just for him but for every Indian, and his leadership as well that has enabled every Indian to stand apart as far as the world is concerned. Today, Bharat means Bharosa. Today, India means trust. And that is what we are seeing here in Kuwait as well, with Narendra Modi visiting the country and, taking all the steps that are required to enhance the relationship and the friendship between the two communities and the two countries.
All right, Akshay, yes, you're talking of, how this is important given the fact that this is the 20th honor which is being bestowed on Prime Minister. Now, what is it that has made the world sit back and notice about India and the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi? Because this is not for the first time that such an honor has been bestowed on the Prime Minister. As a reporter, as a journalist, how do you evaluate, what all has been done under Prime Minister Narendra Modi's leadership for the country that has made the world sit back and notice India on the global page now?
Well, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has put India there on the map of every country, of everyone in the world to recognize the contributions India has done, India has made. In fact, historically, India has been a very important country, but the contribution that the Indian society has made towards the world were fading away. But Prime Minister Narendra Modi voiced it again. He in fact made India voice of the global south. He in fact made India a country that is significant, a country that counts, a country that has made change in the world, be it the COVID-19 pandemic, be it the way India has conducted the G20 summit, bringing voices such as bringing countries together on the same table to agree to same points, such as Russia and US at a time when both the countries have been embroiled in conflict when it comes to the Ukraine crisis or the other conflicts that we are seeing around the world. India is one country that is looked at when it comes to conflict resolution, when it comes to global peace, when it comes to global growth. So that all these contributions are the reason why, whenever Prime Minister Narendra Modi goes to a foreign country, he is in fact a star that has come from India, and he is given all of these honors in a recognition to the work that he has done towards not just global peace but global growth as well.
All right, Akshay, stay with us. For our viewers who've just joined in, these are the visuals we are getting for you from Kuwait, and these are the visuals after Prime Minister's meeting with the Emir of Kuwait, Sheikh Mishal Al Ahmad Al Jaber Al Sabah. These visuals show us how Prime Minister Narendra Modi was honoured with the Order of Mubarak the Great, or Wizam Mubarak Al Kabir. Now, this order is conferred in 2 classes as the highest knighthood honour of Kuwait, as a sign of friendship to the heads of state and Kuwait and foreign royalty. These are the visuals on your screens which tell us about the meeting which the Prime Minister had with the Emir of Kuwait, Mishal Al Ahmad Al Jaber Al Sabah. Prime Minister today is holding his engagements with the Kuwaiti leadership, and the first in the series is with the Emir of Kuwait. The Prime Minister held discussions with Emir of Kuwait, and during this meeting as well, the Prime Minister was bestowed with Kuwait's highest order. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi engaged in comprehensive discussions with Kuwait's Emir, as we see on our screens, Sheikh Mishal Al Ahmad Al Jaber Al Sabah. Now, this meeting was aimed at strengthening bilateral ties. Prior to his departure, the Prime Minister talked of how India deeply values the historical connection with Kuwait that has been nurtured over generations. The Prime Minister says we are not just strong trade and energy partners, but also have shared interest in peace, security, stability and prosperity in the West Asia region. The Prime Minister looking forward to the meetings which he will have with the Kuwaiti leadership in Kuwait prior to his departure, said that it would be an opportunity to chalk out a roadmap for a futuristic partnership for the benefit of our people and the region. The Prime Minister is holding bilateral engagements with the Kuwaiti leadership. The first in the series is the meeting with Emir of Kuwait, His Highness Sheikh Mishal Al Ahmad Al Jaber Al Sabah. And both the leaders discussed way forward for strengthening the bilateral relationship between India and Kuwait. Remember, the Prime Minister's visit is the visit by an Indian Prime Minister to Kuwait in the last 43 years, and that marks the significance of the visit here. Prime Minister Modi's trip is expected to strengthen the bilateral relationship, and here we see the second meeting the Prime Minister had in the series today with the Crown Prince of Kuwait, and the Prime Minister earlier held a meeting with the Emir of Kuwait, and after that the Prime Minister held a meeting with Crown Prince Sheikh Sabah Al Khalid Al Hamad Al Sabah. As we told you, the main motive of the meetings the Indian Prime Minister is having in Kuwait is to strengthen the bilateral relationship between India and Kuwait. The Prime Minister meeting the Crown Prince of Kuwait, Sabah Al Khalid Al Hamad Al Sabah. And prior to this, the Prime Minister held meeting with Emir of Kuwait, wherein the Prime Minister was honoured with the highest order of knighthood in Kuwait. Prime Minister's visit to Kuwait is expected to enhance and strengthen, deepen the bilateral ties. Different areas of consultation, different areas of talks would be energy, trade, labour cooperation, and also there are expectations of reaffirming India's commitment to strengthening ties with the Gulf Cooperation Council countries, the GCC countries. So here on our screens we see Prime Minister Narendra Modi holding discussions with leadership of Kuwait. Earlier in the day we also saw Prime Minister address a community event, Hala Modi, in Kuwait. He interacted with the Indian community, the Indian diaspora there. Prime Minister Narendra Modi talked of the deep historical ties India shares with Kuwait, and also during his interaction with the Indian community, the Prime Minister endorsed India as a wholesome package which the world notices, and also he talked of the future prospects India holds for investments, India holds in other regions, other areas for the world. When we talk of the Indian diaspora there are professionals like engineers, doctors, scientists. They form a large proportion of workers of the workers community there in India. The Indian business community in Kuwait has carved a niche in the markets there, in retail as well as distribution. There are, education is another important area which presents the scope of further strengthening the relationship between the two countries. As we speak, these are the visuals of the bilateral engagements which the Prime Minister had with the Prime Minister of Kuwait, Prime Minister Ahmed Al Abdullah Al Ahmed Al Sabah. So delegation level talks between India and Kuwait taking place between Prime Ministers of both the countries, and after this the MOUs were signed between India and Kuwait. At present, these are the visuals of the bilateral meeting which the Prime Minister, the bilateral delegation level meeting which the Prime Minister had with Kuwaiti Prime Minister Ahmed Al Abdullah Al Ahmed Al Sabah. This is the third meeting in the series of the engagements which the Prime Minister today had in Kuwait. Earlier to this, we saw the Prime Minister address the community event, and a number of areas have been discussed during this meeting when we talk of strengthening the relationship between the two countries. Prime Minister Narendra Modi interacting with Prime Minister of Kuwait. This visit of the Prime Minister to Kuwait is being seen as a very important outreach, diplomatic outreach effort to the Gulf region, which New Delhi considers as part of its extended neighborhood. This is the first visit by an Indian Prime Minister to Kuwait in 43 years. And this trip is expected to deepen the bilateral relations. And here we see the Indian leadership, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, along with the Indian delegation holding bilateral talks with Prime Minister of Kuwait, Prime Minister Ahmed Al Abdullah Al Ahmed Al Sabah. Remember, prior to this, on December 4th, the Foreign Minister of Kuwait paid a visit to India. Foreign Minister of Kuwait, His Excellency Abdullah Ali Al Yahya, called on Prime Minister Narendra Modi, wherein they discussed measures to enhance cooperation in trade, investment, energy, technology, culture, and strong people-to-people ties. And here we see Prime Minister Narendra Modi in his bilateral engagements with the Prime Minister of, with the Prime Minister of Kuwait, the delegation level talks taking place here in Kuwait. Energy, trade, labor cooperation are some of the areas that can be taken up when we talk of the engagements here. Delegation level talks underway, in fact, just a while back took place in Kuwait, and after this MOUs were signed between India and Kuwait. We will get to the details of the MOUs once they are made public. Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit comes at the invitation of the Kuwaiti leadership to Prime Minister Narendra Modi to visit the country at the earliest opportunity. And so here we see the leadership of both the countries engaged in delegation level talks to further strengthen and deepen the bilateral ties. When we talk of the areas of cooperation between both the two countries, then hydrocarbon sector is one important area of cooperation between both the countries. The Prime Minister also mentioned about the cooperation between both the countries during the COVID pandemic. And also these were the visuals on your screens which showed Prime Minister Narendra Modi hold delegation level talks with Prime Minister of Kuwait, Prime Minister Ahmed Al Abdullah Al Ahmed Al Sabah. And after this, the MOUs were signed. We will keep you updated with the MOUs that were signed after the talks. Remember, this visit of the Indian Prime Minister to Kuwait comes after 43 years, is happening after more than 4 decades. So that is enough to point out at the expectations from this visit, wherein Prime Minister talked of how he looks forward to further strengthening the ties between India and Kuwait in his departure statement. We'll keep you posted, we'll keep you updated with the developments there in Kuwait. Meanwhile, let's turn focus to other news which we are tracking at this hour. Retired military dogs, known for their loyalty and service to the nation, are finding new homes where they can continue to spread love and joy. On the 246th Remount Veterinary Corps Day, the Indian Army gifted 12 retired military dogs to Asha schools for special children and compassionate citizens. This initiative highlights the Indian Army's deep respect for its brave four-legged soldiers who have served the nation selflessly. Let's get to updates from US now, where President Joe Biden signed the government funding bill on Saturday, averting a Christmas-time government shutdown after successful negotiations between Republicans and the Democrats in both houses of the Congress. In a statement, Biden highlighted that the bill includes disaster relief and avoids an accelerated pathway to a tax cut for billionaires. The package had earlier cleared the Republican-controlled House of Representatives with bipartisan support. The late-night vote capped a frenetic week that saw President-elect Donald Trump and his ally Elon Musk defeat an initial bipartisan deal, throwing Congress into disarray. Ahead of his January 20th inauguration, US President-elect Donald Trump announced two key appointments to his administration on Saturday. Billionaire Tilman Fertitta, owner of the Houston Rockets and chairman of Landry's Restaurant and Hospitality Group, has been nominated by Trump as the ambassador to Italy. Mark Burnett, the creator of Trump's long-running reality show The Apprentice, has been appointed as special envoy to the United Kingdom. Burnett, known for producing hit shows like Survivor and Shark Tank, played a pivotal role in shaping Trump's television career. Let's take a look at other stories making it to the headlines from across the world. Spain's traditional Christmas lottery draw began in Madrid's Royal Theatre on Sunday. The children of a school there called out the winning numbers along with the prize money. The top prize of the lottery is $417,000, known as El Gordo. The draw takes place annually on December 22nd since 1812. The 26th edition of the Harbin Ice Snow World has officially opened for visitors in Harbin, China. The theme for this year's park is Dream of Winter, Love Among Asia. The snow park is built using 300,000 cubic meters of ice and snow, which is the largest in its 26-year history. New York City on Saturday saw its first measurable December snowfall since 2021, with some areas receiving 3 to 4 inches of snow. In upstate New York, a lake-effect snowstorm earlier in the week dumped 2 to 3 feet of snow in Lakeview area near the Canadian border.